Chapter 2004. They could travel the world or head to the Empire's army to seek a future. However, there were many of them. Their value far surpassed that of the thundercloud fruit. Sang showed a somewhat relaxed expression as he looked at the propping mulberry tree sapling in his palm. He had no parents. However, no matter what, the propping mulberry tree gave birth to him. Furthermore, Shao Chen used the five-element divine lightning to drive the final form of Firmament's rage. Its might would multiply. With a thought, the monstrous rage dissipated above the 9 heavens and froze in the palm. To think that Shao Chen directly collected it in his palm. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth already formed the basic attributes of a small world. Whoosh! Wind howled behind. The five-element divine lightning was truly wondrous. To Shao Chen, this outcome was something he could accept. Right now, what Shao Chen needed to do was not just subdue the five-element divine lightning, but to infuse it into his palm and use it to cultivate the third layer of Firmament's rage. Sang shook his head and said, "I don't know either. I just want to find a place to continue pursuing the martial Tao and take care of the little mulberry tree while I'm at it." Sang, who had heard the commotion, rushed over and asked after arriving beside Shao Chen. The divine universe steel was filled with spiritual energy, and no one disturbed it. It was the best place for the propping mulberry tree sapling to grow. Sang denied, that should not be the case. It is already a miracle among miracles that a piece of the divine universe steel remained until now. I don't think there will be another divine tool made of divine universe stone that has survived until now. You don't know how terrifying the calamity brought by the epic's destruction was. Celestial decay, order collapsing. Shao Chen entered deep thought. The might of the five-element divine lightning is still too weak. If it were 1% of its original state, what flew out would be dust and not rubble. Right now, Shao Chen's palm was a small world of lightning. It contained a boundless expanse. Under Sang's guidance, Shao Chen found a treasure land with an extremely dense lightning-attributed energy in the nearby thundercloud ancient marsh. This stunned Shao Chen, somewhat at a loss for what to do. Then, he entered closed-door cultivation. Shao Chen was very satisfied with this new attack method of the Thunder Tao. He casually withdrew the five-element divine lightning back into his palm. Sang smiled and said, "I know where most of the mutated fruits in the thundercloud ancient marsh are. I've retrieved those that you can refine for you. Take the rest. The beasts guarding them are too terrifying. You won't be able to refine them for now." It was unknown how much stronger this attack was compared to his previous attacks. With a raise of his hand, the heavens trembled, and a dragon's roar resounded through the clouds. However, he had already used the concept of space in another way. 20 days had passed since Shao Chen left the Heaven Dragon Palace. Shao Chen infused a strand of his will of soul into the spear. In an instant, the five-element divine lightning condensed into a spear. Shao Chen said, "I estimate that in 3 months, the five-element divine lightning will recover to its original state, 1% of its might." As soon as the words left his mouth, he realized that he had asked a useless question. Shao Chen's eyes glowed with vigor. He felt somewhat excited even though he had not comprehended the state of space yet. As for the future, he would make plans after the propping mulberry tree's vitality stabilized. "Go!" Rumble. Sang smiled faintly and said, "These natural treasures are rather pure. It looks like they have set their sights on you. Congratulations." Then, they slowly merged in Shao Chen's palm. However, their auras were weak. The might of the lightning was far from what it was initially. Shao Chen soared into the air and made a grabbing motion. Something strange happened. The huge rock, which was as large as a mountain, turned into a mountain. After the competition between the 7 outer palaces, some people would go to Ancestor Dragon City, and the unlucky ones would stay behind to continue working hard. Some people would leave the Heaven Dragon Palace due to their limited talent. As great Tao energy infused into Xiao Chen's palm, the five-element divine lightning glowed with resplendent light, looking like a divine weapon. Xiao Chen was truly surprised. He had already given up on obtaining the five-element divine lightning. With the help of the five-element divine lightning, Xiao Chen finally succeeded in cultivating the third layer of Firmament's rage. The rage of a great desolate Aeon ancestor dragon turned solid and spread in the world. Xiao Chen sighed. His saber Dao was still stuck at great perfection. However, his thunder Dao was about to surpass great perfection. Firmament's rage. Sang had already decided to reside in the Divine Universe Steel for now and head to the Divine Dragon Empire with Xiao Chen. A grave and tense atmosphere spread in the air. Xiao Chen's control over rage had already reached the level of rage but not imposing, might but not showing. He could control it as he pleased. You know about the Divine Universe Steel as well? Xiao Chen clenched his fist, and the lightning and saber chi instantly shattered the huge rock in it. For example, he could infuse his Thunder Great Tao energy into the five-element Divine Lightning, using the five-element Divine Lightning as a vessel to attack. As he refined the rock, Xiao Chen vaguely felt like his Thunder Tao was about to make another breakthrough. How is it? Sang's eyes lit up when he saw Xiao Chen take out a steel. He exclaimed in some shock, "The Divine Universe Steel." Dust swelled up, looking like a majestic mushroom cloud rising from the ground. Xiao Chen's face lit up in joy. "Where did you find it?" As Sang continuously infused his great Tao energy into it, thunderclouds spread out in the sky. Terrifying mysterious phenomena of lightning continuously appeared. The five-element divine lightning was incredibly weak. If Xiao Chen did not merge it in time, it would be hard to succeed. Sang smiled mysteriously and took out several lightning-attributed fruit. They were only slightly weaker than the thundercloud fruit that he obtained earlier. As Sang looked at the Divine Universe Steel, he marveled at this ancient item. The propping mulberry tree had successfully undergone nirvanic rebirth. Now only a sapling remained. However, it had already been drained twice. It would be difficult for it to regain such horrifying might in the future. Just as Xiao Chen felt somewhat bored, 5 strands of weak light of different colors suddenly came from the surroundings. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up as he exclaimed softly, "Five-element divine lightning." Xiao Chen slowly opened his eyes and looked around. The surroundings were filled with rocks and deep pits. That strike from the five-element divine lightning completely destroyed this desolate plain. Days passed one after another. Xiao Chen wanted to test the might of the third layer, Firmament's rage. No matter how nonchalant he appeared, this trace of worry was something that he could not truly forget. Given Sang's understanding of Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, it would be easy for him to find these fruits. "I'll call you the Thunder Monarch Spear, then." Although Xiao Chen was interested in the laws of the universe's origin, he did not want to discuss it too much at this moment. Only after a long time did it vanish completely. At the same time, Xiao Chen sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. Without even thinking, he quickly circulated Firmament's rage's third layer. Resplendent and dazzling electric light suddenly exploded. In the next moment, boundless dust turned into powder and soared into the air. Everyone knew that this was the last time everyone gathered. Naturally, their destination was the competition between the 7 outer palaces. After the 5-element divine lightning successfully formed, it was boundlessly strong. At this moment, the Heaven-class core disciples gathered at the profound dragon platform in the Heaven Dragon Palace. The 3 palace masters appeared at the same time in the Heaven Dragon Palace. The conversation took a long time. After 2 days, Xiao Chen opened his eyes again. Aside from Firmament's rage, the 5-element divine lightning had other uses. Xiao Chen rested for a while on the huge rock floating in the air, recovering some of his physical strength and veritable essence energy. The 5-element divine lightning would not be able to cause trouble for the next 1,000 years. The 3 palace masters, who rarely showed themselves, also showed up at this rare moment. They shot out countless bolts of lightning, bearing fangs and brandishing claws, spreading in the surroundings. With a thought, Shao Chen continuously infused his Thunder Great Tao energy into the five-element divine lightning. Shao Chen put away these mutated fruits, and a light flashed in his eyes. He said seriously, "This is enough. These 10,000-year-old mutated fruits are sufficient for me to quickly cultivate the five-element divine lightning." Whoosh! Shao Chen stood up and looked around. Then, he fixed his gaze on a huge rock that was as large as a mountain peak. This opportunity could not be missed. It would not come again. Shao Chen asked softly as he looked at Sang. Even if Sang could leave the propping mulberry tree and survive independently, it would still be hard to avoid some worries. A strong wind blew, lightning flashed, and thunder roared. Shao Chen nodded and opened his palm. A complete strand of the five-element divine lightning appeared, flickering with five-colored electric light, looking exceptionally pretty. The third layer of firmament's rage completely brought out the rage of a great desolate Aeon ancestor dragon. It won't take that long. When he opened his hand again, countless shattered rocks shot out from his palm in all directions. Naturally, I do. In the propping mulberry tree's memories, several powerhouses refined the divine universe steel during the Great Desolate Aeon. According to rumor, when the primal chaos broke, many strange divine items were born, including a Cosmos Divine Stone. Later, due to intense competition, the Cosmos Divine Steel exploded into the Divine Universe Steel and the Divine Aeon Steel. The Divine Universe Steel remained intact. The Divine Aeon Steel seems to have shattered into many pieces. It could surpass great perfection at any time and reach peak consummation today. Are you saying that there is something like the Divine Universe Steel in this world? Shao Chen asked in some shock. It looked like Sang knew more than the blood-soaked emperor did. Who could have imagined that the five-element divine lightning that scattered again would take the initiative to come back? Sang casually tossed the spear, and it landed on a pile of rubble at a speed that the naked eye could not catch. The five-element divine lightning experienced the shattering of the great desolate continent, experienced countless epochs, and even reappeared in the martial epoch. Success. By preserving the seedling, there was hope of passing it down. After Shao Chen's hard work, he regained the five-element divine lightning after losing it. It was not like he gained nothing. As for the blood-sucking vines, there was no need to care about them for now. This was already an extremely optimistic view. For the five-element divine lightning to recover to its original state and regain 1% of its might was already extremely terrifying. Where do you intend to go next? Shao Chen recovered his wits and quickly executed Firmament's rage, gathering the 5 beams of light into his palm. As Shao Chen spoke in a soft voice with Sang, he entered deep thought as he looked at the endless boulders in the surroundings. However, this was no longer a problem for Shao Chen to consider. Right now, he did not know where the 5-element divine lightning was. It was hard to say whether it had been drained or not. Sang did not remain idle either. He borrowed Shao Chen's divine universe steel and collected all sorts of natural treasures in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Shao Chen thought for a while before saying, "Come with me to the Divine Dragon Empire. If you do not want to be disturbed, you can come here." When the 5-element divine lightning grew close to 2 meters with the help of the lightning-attributed energy, Shao Chen stopped. After thinking for a while, he condensed the somewhat blurry 5-element divine lightning into a spear flickering with lightning. Chapter 2005. At the profound dragon platform in the Heaven Dragon Palace, all the Heaven-class core disciples in the palace were present, a total of 31 people. Standing at the very front were Li Luo, Lu Feng, Bai Yunfeng, and Xiao Jinyu. These 4 had accompanied Shao Chen to the gathering of the 3 outer palaces. In the last month, they had been heavily nurtured and placed high hopes on them. However, the many Heaven Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples soon discovered something strange. Shao Chen did not appear. The famous white-robed bladesman Shao Chun, whom the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples regarded as their spiritual leader, did not appear here. These disciples immediately showed somewhat unnatural expressions. Where's junior brother Shao Chun? Why do I not see him? That's right. This is strange. We are about to depart. Why do I not see him? Could it be that he gave up on this opportunity? In that case, we are in trouble. Without him, there is no leader at all. The heaven-class core disciples of each of the 7 outer palaces would have their own spiritual leader. The existence of a leader was not just to boost morale. In the actual test, a leader could truly help them. The elders of the various outer palaces would instruct the strongest to take care of the senior brothers and junior brothers behind them. Otherwise, why would the sect give them so many resources? Xiao Jinyu's expression turned somewhat grave. He looked at Li Luo, who was beside him, and whispered, "Senior sisterly, have you seen Shao Chun recently?" "No. I went to look for him 3 days ago. He was not in Cold Moon Cave. I heard from Master that he went out for experiential training." Then why is he not back yet? There are only 10 days left. We are about to depart. Why has he not appeared yet? The others found this strange. At the same time, they felt somewhat worried. Could something have happened to Shao Chun? Quiet. On the summit of the Heaven Dragon Palace, First Palace Master Exin gestured for silence, and the noisy discussions stopped. The First Palace Master sighed to himself. Up until now, there had been no news of Shao Chun. He wondered what he had encountered in the fight for the 5-element divine lightning. Fortunately, the life tablet he left in the Heaven Dragon Hall was not broken, and the Heaven Dragon talisman he gave him was useless. This meant that Shao Chun was not in danger. Since he had not returned for so long, the 5-element divine lightning must have truly appeared. Otherwise, they wouldn't have wasted so much time. However, looking at the state of these disciples, their morale had been greatly affected due to Shao Chun's absence. Although such a scene was within his expectations, the First Palace Master was still somewhat worried. The First Palace Master had to say something. After a pause, he said, "I know what you are thinking. First of all, I can tell you that Shao Chun is fine. However, I can't be sure if he can make it back in time. However, the competition between the 7 palaces is ultimately your own affair. It has little to do with the existence of others. Bai Yunfeng, Lu Feng, your disciple is here." The 2 of them stepped forward and cupped their fists in response. "Since Shao Chun isn't here, the 2 of you will take up the responsibility of taking care of your fellow disciples. Can you do it?" Bai Yunfeng and Lu Feng said in unison with grave expressions, "We will do our best." "All right. I won't say anything unnecessary. I am not sure about the rules of this competition between the 7 palaces. I will only know after entering the Imperial Capital's Divine Dragon City. No matter what, I hope that you will not feel too much pressure. Even if you cannot enter Ancestor Dragon City, you still have many other options. Heaven Dragon City will always welcome you to stay," the First Palace Master said sincerely. The First Palace Master asked sincerely. He clearly understood what Ancestor Dragon City meant to these mixed-blood dragon cultivators. As long as they entered Ancestor Dragon City, their descendants could remain in Ancestor Dragon City. His own status within the Empire would also be greatly enhanced. The Heaven Dragon Palace also needed sufficient disciples to enter Ancestor Dragon City. That was the dragon race's ancestral temple, the core of the dragon race's authority. The more disciples of the Heaven Dragon bloodline there, the more benefits the mixed-blood dragon cultivators in the Empire would obtain. Conversely, their originally low status would be further exploited. From a certain perspective, the dragon race cultivators could not defy the will of Ancestor Dragon City. Depart. A 4-star hovering warship with the symbol of the Heaven Dragon Palace appeared. Everyone entered the warship one after another. The First Palace Master said softly, "The 2 of you stay here. I will personally lead the team this time." The third palace master said, "Big brother, don't feel any pressure. Sending Shao Chen to search for the five-element divine lightning is for his own good. He has not returned yet. Clearly, he made a major discovery. Even if he improves this time, he can enter Ancestor Dragon City next year. No one can stop him from rising up in the dragon race." Second Palace Master Zhu Yang sighed. "Third brother, Big brother is not worried about Shao Chen. I am worried about this batch of heaven-class core disciples. I feel like I have let them down." The third palace master entered deep thought, not saying anything more. Indeed, even though the competition between the 7 outer palaces was imminent, they still sent Shao Chen out. This was somewhat unfair to these disciples, who hoped that Shao Chen would lead them to participate in the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Shao Chen promised me that he would rush back. I believe him. After saying that, the first hall master turned around and boarded the warship. The second palace master and the third palace master watched the warship leave with heavy hearts. At the same time, the heaven-class core disciples of the Red Dragon Palace, the Blue Dragon Palace, the White Dragon Palace, the Green Dragon Palace, the Silver Dragon Palace, and the Golden Dragon Palace gathered and headed for the imperial capital, Divine Dragon City. For the various outer palaces, the annual competition between the 7 palaces was a major event. How many disciples could they send into Ancestor Dragon City? Who could stand out? Who could enter Ancestor Dragon City as the first among the 7 outer palaces? To the 6 colored divine dragons, this concerned many resources and practical benefits, both overt and covert. The 6 colored divine dragons appeared to be at peace. However, in reality, the competition in secret had already reached an extremely terrifying level. In particular, the selection of the next Dragon Emperor's successor was about to begin. Which divine dragon of the various races did not covet the position of Dragon Emperor? Under such a background, the competition between the 7 palaces this year would definitely be especially important. The Golden Dragon bloodline definitely had to maintain first place and continue the Golden Dragon bloodline's dominance. If he lost, it would not be a good sign. More importantly, it might even affect the bloodline's luck. Be it for their own benefits or the fight for the Dragon Emperor's successor, the other divine dragon bloodlines needed to do their best to push the Golden Dragon bloodline down in the competition between the 7 palaces. Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. On a mountain peak surrounded by thunderclouds and endlessly flashing lightning, Shao Chen opened his eyes and a Dao disc slowly appeared behind him. A brilliant light flashed in his eyes. With a thought, the Dao disc behind him condensed into a point and continuously elongated until it was 93 meters tall. Whoosh! When this Dao disc condensed into a point and elongated to 93 meters, the lightning flickering endlessly in the surroundings suddenly stopped. In this world, Shao Chen was like the sovereign of lightning, able to freely control the lightning in the surroundings. Shao Chen ferociously waved his hand, and the lightning in the surroundings gathered under his control, forming a terrifying bolt of lightning. Thunderclouds for 50 kilometers churned like a vast army behind him. Shao Chen's Thunder Dao surpassed great perfection, reaching peak consummation. "This feeling is really intoxicating," Shao Chen said softly. After Shao Chen broke through to great perfection, his Thunder Dao underwent an overwhelming change. His grasp of lightning reached a level that even Shao Chen had not expected. All of this was due to the 5-element divine lightning. Otherwise, who knew how long it would take for him to break through? "It's time to go. I hope I can make it in time for the competition between the 7 palaces." Absolute confidence flashed in Shao Chen's eyes. Now, he was confident of defeating anyone in the outer palaces without using the demonic cloud heaven-swallowing art. "Are we leaving?" Sang, who was in closed-door cultivation in the Divine Universe Steel, asked. Shao Chen, who had never left Thundercloud Ancient Marsh before, was somewhat curious about the Divine Dragon Empire. "All right, let's go." The demon blood vulture swooped down from the thunderclouds. Shao Chen gently leaped up and landed on its back. When Shao Chen left Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, many blood-sucking vines flickering with electric light silently emerged from the rubble of the desolate plain. The blood-sucking vines intertwined and formed a somewhat strange physical body. The surface of the stone-like physical body flickered with crackling electric light. Not bad. Although it is not a physical body formed by the five-element divine lightning, it is still acceptable. I specialize in the Thunder Dao. The fusion of the blood-sucking vine's physical body with the Thunder Dao is simply perfect. It turned out that this person was the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows that Shao Chen smashed into the ground. He had actually occupied the blood-sucking vine's main body and used them to form his own physical body. Just at this moment, a scarlet beam of light flashed in the sky. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows did not have good vision, but he keenly sensed the existence that the scarlet beam of light represented. Shao Chen, let's meet again another day. Intense hatred flashed in the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows' eyes as he descended from the scarlet beam of light and left Thundercloud Ancient Marsh with his new physical body. Chapter 2006. The demon blood vulture flew at its fastest speed, carrying Shao Chen to Thundercloud City. 2 days later, Shao Chen arrived. Although they were in a rush, they still had to at least show some courtesy. This time, they would be able to obtain the five-element divine lightning. This time, he obtained the five-element divine lightning through various coincidences and opportunities. However, no matter what, the 9 Cauldron Pavilion's master Bai and Li Xiuhai had helped. Before Shao Chen left, he needed to thank them. Sir Shao, you are still here? When Li Xiuhai saw Shao Chen in the 9 Cauldron Pavilion, he felt greatly startled. The commotion caused by the propping mulberry tree in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh spread like wildfire. The news spread like wildfire, but outsiders didn't know the specifics of the matter. Li Xiuhai originally thought that Shao Chen was in a rush back to participate in the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Unexpectedly, Shao Chen had not left yet. I'm leaving. I came here this time to say goodbye to the 2 of you. Li Xiuhai revealed a smile on his face. He liked hearing this. At the very least, Shao Chen still treated the 2 of them as friends. However, a merchant's nature was hard to change. Li Xiuhai asked in a roundabout way, Sir Shao, what exactly happened in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh? Several sovereign emperors in Thundercloud City went there some time ago. Aside from ruins and rubble, they did not discover anything. Did the five-element divine lightning really appear? Shao Chen did not explain. He only said, in a few days, there will be news from the White Marsh Beast Empire. You just need to pay some attention. I gained a lot in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh this time. Many thanks to the 2 of you for your help. Master Bai smiled and said, You're welcome, you're welcome. The future is long. In the future, when young Master Shao travels the northern region, you will not be able to avoid greeting our 9 Cauldron Pavilion. There is no need to thank us. Young Master Shao, there is no need to say anything more. Quickly return. I heard that the Heaven-class core disciples of the Dragon's Gate's outer palaces arrived at Divine Dragon City 3 days ago. The competition between the 7 outer palaces will start at any moment. Goodbye. Shao Chen's heart sank. Time was more pressing than he thought. As Li Xiuhai watched Shao Chen leave, he entered deep thought. Sir Shao, what do you mean? Has the 5 elements godly lightning appeared? Master Bai said somewhat helplessly. Young Master Shao already made it clear enough. He did not deny the news of the 5-element divine lightning. Furthermore, he claimed that he gained a lot and even made a special trip to say goodbye to the 2 of us. Is there even a need to think? Li Xiuhai exclaimed. Sir Shao really obtained the 5-element divine lightning. With a shocked expression, he muttered to himself, This is something that even imperial lords desire. It's truly unexpected. Before long, his name will shake the entire northern region. At this moment, Li Xiuhai also came to a realization. He knew why Senior Bai said that. In the future, Xiao Chen would still have dealings with the Nine Cauldron Pavilion in the northern region. It looked like old Bai's foresight was much higher than Xiao Chen's. He could already see so far. In the imperial capital, Divine Dragon City. The group from the Heaven Dragon Palace arrived 3 days ago. After that, the people from the other outer palaces arrived in this ancient dragon city, second only to Ancestor Dragon City. However, there was still some time before the competition between the 7 palaces began. The disciples of the 7 outer palaces traveled a long way to get here. They needed some time to rest. As the imperial capital, Divine Dragon City, was bustling and bustling. Furthermore, Ancestor Dragon City was not open to the public. Divine Dragon City could be seen as the center of the Divine Dragon Empire, where the various large clans of the empire gathered. Aside from this, there were also the other factions of the northern region. Even the 3 dynasties had branches here, both in the open and in the dark. Even in the entire northern region, Divine Dragon City was one of the few large cities. After arriving in Divine Dragon City, the first palace master and elder Tian Yun started traveling around, trying to find out information about the competition between the 7 outer palaces. The situation in every competition between the 7 outer palaces was different. If they could obtain some information and make some preparations, the results might be very different. As for Bai Yunfeng, Xiao Jinyu, and the other heaven-class core disciples, they toured this Divine Dragon City together. It was rare for them to come to Divine Dragon City. Naturally, they could not miss out on this opportunity. The competition between the 7 outer palaces would begin soon. There would not be much effect if they entered closed-door cultivation now. They might as well go around and take a look. They could see the world and broaden their horizons. Compared to Heaven Dragon City, the prosperity of the imperial capital was incomparable. Aside from Bai Yunfeng, who came a few times, Xiao Jinyu, Li Luo, Lu Feng, and the others had never been here before. With Bai Yunfeng leading the way, the group started strolling around Divine Dragon City. This is the largest market of Divine Dragon City. There are all kinds of people here. The things they sell here are all sorts of strange things, testing one's vision and vision. Although they are not as trustworthy as the large shops, they often spread news of someone obtaining treasures at an extremely low price. Hence, they are very popular. That lake is Emperor Dragon Lake. Do you see the statues there? They are all sovereign emperors of the various races who contributed to the empire. Only those with outstanding military merits can have their statues erected in Emperor Dragon Lake, receiving the protection of the empire's luck for their descendants. This street is filled with large shops selling Dao tools and Dao tools. If you need them, you can take a look. Clearly, Bai Yunfeng was very familiar with the imperial capital. Along the way, he continuously introduced the place to Li Luo and the others. Just at this moment, a group of cultivators chatting and laughing walked out of a shop. The 2 groups of people ran into each other on the street. When the group raised their heads and saw the other party's appearance, they were slightly stunned, somewhat stunned. Haha! What a coincidence! Divine Dragon City is so large. Unexpectedly, we ran into a group of mixed blood dragons when we came out for a walk. The leader of the other party was the Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Outyin. As for the cultivator beside Qin Outyin, he did not seem to be a Golden Dragon Palace disciple. He was rather old, and his aura was as steady as a mountain. His cultivation was rather high, probably a cultivator of the Qin clan. The divine dragon bloodline in their bodies made this group of people extremely eye-catching on the street. The golden divine dragon aura that Xiao Chen casually exuded would attract attention at any time. Everyone knew that the golden dragon race ruled this empire. The golden dragon bloodline was also the strongest faction in Divine Dragon City. Bai Yunfeng's expression changed slightly. He turned around and said, "Let's go." It was better to avoid trouble. Now that they met this Qin Outyin, they could only blame him for being unlucky. The competition between the 7 outer palaces was about to begin. There was no need to stoop to this person's level. Block them. Qin Outyan's face sank. With a wave of his hand, the cultivators around him immediately formed a circle, surrounding Bai Yunfeng and the others. Impatience flashed in Lu Feng's eyes. Bai Yunfeng secretly stopped the other party. This was Divine Dragon City. The other party's faction was much stronger than the Heaven Dragon royal palaces. If they attacked rashly, they would suffer too much. Bai Yunfeng said, "Qin Outyan, what are you trying to do? This is Divine Dragon City. Even if you are a royal disciple of the Golden Dragon bloodline, you are not qualified to make a move here." Qin Outyan felt somewhat frustrated. He said sullenly, "It is not your turn to lecture me. I am much clearer about the rules of Divine Dragon City than a mixed-blood dragon like you. Don't worry, I'm not that stupid. Even if we do not meet here, I want to make a trip to the courtyard where the Heaven Dragon Royal Palace is. Since we ran into each other, then I'll say this in advance. My first brother wants to meet Xiao Chen." Qin Mu. Qin Outyan's first brother was the strongest person of the Golden Dragon Palace, Qin Mu. He was publicly acknowledged as the strongest person of the outer palaces. He was stronger than the other 3 experts of the 4 outer palaces. He was mysterious and rarely showed himself. Bai Yunfeng said calmly, "I will pass the message to you. As for whether junior brother Xiao Chen is willing to meet him or not, that is up to him. Sorry, but please come with me first. I believe the news has already spread. There is no need for you to pass the message. Xiao Chen will come naturally," Qin Outyan said with a somewhat sinister smile. He felt that this plan of his was extremely brilliant. Right now, the various palace masters were all busy with the competition between the 7 outer palaces. They had no time to deal with these minor matters. Qin Outyan could forcibly take these people away. As long as he did not injure the other party, even if the other party pursued the matter, he would not be able to do anything to him. Given Xiao Chen's character, as long as he received the news, he would worry about the safety of these people and rush over without a care for the consequences. The hearts of Bai Yunfeng and the others sank. This time, Xiao Chen did not come. If the Qin clan's experts forcibly took them away, the consequences would be dire. Just as the group sent voice projections and prepared to leave in advance, a person suddenly walked out from the railing on the 3rd floor of a nearby restaurant. A person suddenly walked out from the railing of the 3rd floor of a nearby restaurant. He looked down and said, "If you want to see me, just have Qin Mu come here. There is no need to go through so much trouble." This startled Bai Yunfeng and the others. When they looked up, they saw that it was Xiao Chen. Bai Yunfeng immediately rejoiced in his heart. At the same time, he found it strange. Why did junior brother Xiao Chen suddenly come to Divine Dragon City? Chapter 2007. The person upstairs was Xiao Chen. Why did Xiao Chen suddenly appear in Divine Dragon City? While it looked sudden, in reality, it was not. After learning that the various outer palaces teams had already arrived at Divine Dragon City, Xiao Chen knew that he had to travel at a normal speed. No matter how fast he rushed, he could not reach Divine Dragon City before the competition between the 7 outer palaces started. He could only spend a large amount of resources in Thundercloud City to use the Transrealm Transportation Formation to arrive at Divine Dragon City. After arriving at Divine Dragon City, Xiao Chen asked around and heaved a sigh of relief. The various outer palaces had indeed arrived. However, there were still many details to be discussed in the competition between the 7 outer palaces, so it had not started yet. After working for several days, Xiao Chen rushed to Divine Dragon City from Thundercloud Ancient Marsh in one go. Seeing that he still had time, he found a restaurant in the city to rest. After drinking, he immediately rushed to the residence of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen heard some familiar voices on the street. When he came over to take a look, he saw the scene before him. After not seeing Qin Outyin for some time, Qin Outyin had become much more arrogant in Divine Dragon City than he had been in the Silver Dragon Palace. To think that Qin Outyin even dared to forcefully abduct people on the street. This Qin clan's people were truly lawless. Xiao Chen. When Qin Outyin saw Xiao Chen, he first felt stunned. Then, he rejoiced. He smiled and said, "Good timing. I thought that you were a coward, hiding in the residence of the Heaven Dragon Palace and not coming out." Whoosh! Xiao Chen gently spread his arms and landed firmly beside Bai Yunfeng and the others. "Junior brother Xiao Chen, you finally appeared." When Bai Yunfeng and the others saw Xiao Chen, they rejoiced. Li Luo's eyes turned slightly moist. She looked at Xiao Chen and asked, "Junior brother Xiao Chen, where did you go? Why did you not tell us?" "The elders also did not tell us where you went. All of us were really worried about you." When Li Luo saw Xiao Chen, the various unhappiness over meeting Qin Outyin faded significantly. Sensing the concern in everyone's eyes, Xiao Chen was somewhat surprised. He had never thought that his disappearance would cause everyone to worry so much. "I'm sorry. I should have told you guys before I left. The first hall master gave me an opportunity to go to Thundercloud Ancient Marsh," Xiao Chen said in a soft voice, sounding apologetic. Indeed, he had to apologize. Before he left, no matter what, he should tell these friends. Putting himself in Xiao Chen's shoes, if his friend disappeared without a word during the competition between the 7 outer palaces, Xiao Chen would definitely be shocked. He must also be extremely worried. Bai Yunfeng smiled and said, "It's fine. It's good that you're back. Come, follow us back. The first hall master will definitely be very happy to see you. All of you, stop right there." Behind them, Qin Outyin was so angry that his face turned red, and his eyes looked like they were about to spit fire. This group of people actually ignored him and did not take him seriously at all. Of course, who was Qin Outyin? Who would dare to be so rude to him in Divine Dragon City? This Xiao Chen was truly bold. The dissatisfaction with Xiao Chen that Qin Outyin suppressed in his heart for a long time instantly erupted. He said coldly, "Xiao Chen, are you going to meet my big brother or not? Come with me now. There is still a chance to ease things. When my big brother really comes to look for you, you will definitely regret it." This is never-ending. Xiao Chen showed no expression as he turned around to look at Qin Outyin. He held back his overwhelming rage, showing might without showing it. With one look, Qin Outyin's heart sank for some reason. Horror spread in his heart as he quickly retreated. "Protect me! Protect me!" The Qin clan experts surrounding Xiao Chen and the others felt slightly stunned. What's wrong with the second young master? Xiao Chen clearly did not reveal any killing intent, but why is he so afraid? Just as the Qin clan experts felt bewildered, Xiao Chen made a move at lightning speed, reaching out and grabbing. Vaguely, they heard a tremor in the sky. By the time these experts came back to their senses, by the time these experts recovered their wits, Xiao Chen had already grabbed Qin Outyin's neck with one hand as he looked at the other party expressionlessly. The group of Qin clan experts immediately panicked. Xiao Chen, quickly let go of second young master. "Do you know who you are capturing?" "He is the Qin clan's second young master, someone with the Golden Dragon royal bloodline. To dare to offend the Qin clan in Divine Dragon City, you must be tired of living." Bai Yunfeng was startled as well. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen suddenly attacked. "Junior brother Xiao Chen!" Bang! Xiao Chen tossed Qin Outyin to the ground with one hand. Then, he knocked Qin Outyin unconscious with a kick before slinging him over his shoulder. "It is time to end this. There is no point in continuing endlessly like this. If you want his younger brother back, get Qin Mu to come to the Heaven Dragon Palace's residence to look for me. Don't take another step forward. I cannot guarantee that he will survive if I make a move later." The Qin clan experts immediately panicked, not knowing what to do. After all, they had never experienced such a thing before. They had not expected someone to offend the Qin clan in Divine Dragon City. You even dare to offend the Qin clan? You have guts. Let's go. The leader of the Qin clan guards glanced at Xiao Chen. Then, he turned around and led the other guards away. Junior brother Xiao Chen, will you be fine? Bai Yunfeng asked somewhat nervously. The Qin clan was a golden dragon royal bloodline. This Qin Outyen's father seemed to be the younger brother of the current dragon emperor. The Qin clan was very powerful. In Divine Dragon City, it was undoubtedly the strongest. Xiao Chen said softly, Senior brother Bai, if there is a kind of person in this world with a deep background and a horrifying backer, you cannot afford to offend them. No matter what, you can't afford to offend him, but this person just has to rely on his backing to cause trouble for you again and again. Not only that, but he even targeted your friend. What do you think we should do? Bai Yunfeng and the other two were stunned when they heard that. Then, they thought about what happened. This Qin Outyen had indeed targeted the three of them, wanting to use them to threaten Xiao Chen. Is it the Qin clan? Bai Yunfeng asked somewhat uncertainly. Ignore the Qin clan. Answer my earlier question. If it were you, what would you do? Xiao Chen continued asking, not letting Bai Yunfeng change the topic. Bai Yunfeng immediately felt somewhat dejected. Aside from enduring, there seemed to be nothing he could do. However, the question that Xiao Chen asked clearly reached the point where he could no longer endure. Beyond endurance? There is no need to continue enduring. Before Bai Yunfeng could say anything, Lu Feng, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. Xiao Chen nodded and said, That's right. Furthermore, it is not the Qin clan's turn to rule over this Divine Dragon City. It is clear who is right and who is wrong. Since that is the case, why worry so much? No matter how much we worry, what will come will come. If we do not teach him a deep lesson, he will never know his mistake. Bai Yunfeng's eyelids twitched. As he looked at Xiao Chen, although Xiao Chen showed a calm expression, Bai Yunfeng clearly saw an extremely terrifying rage in Xiao Chen's eyes. However, Xiao Chen clearly saw an extremely terrifying rage in the other party's eyes. Clearly, Xiao Chen's tolerance had reached its limit. Li Luo said softly, Junior brother Xiao Chen, you are not wrong in this matter. No matter what, I will stand on your side. Lu Feng did not say anything more. Count me in if the Qin clan wants to pursue this matter. Xiao Jinyu hesitated for a moment before saying firmly, Count me in. No one is wrong in this matter. Count me in as well. The passers-by on the street all felt incredulous when they saw this scene. A group of Heaven Dragon Palace disciples actually kidnapped Qin Outyen in front of everyone on the street. After being stunned for a long time, everyone recovered their senses. Something major is going to happen. Oh no. How many years has it been since anyone dared to offend the Qin clan's people? Unexpectedly, it is a group of Heaven Dragon Palace disciples. Interesting. To think that we can see such a show before the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Let's go. Let's follow them. The news of Qin Outyen being taken away by Xiao Chen spread like wildfire throughout Divine Dragon City, causing a huge commotion. At this moment, in an imposing restaurant beside Emperor Dragon Lake, Qin Mu and the other disciples of the 5-colored divine dragons drank wine and chatted merrily in a private room on the top floor of the restaurant. The people present were the peak heaven-class core disciples of the various outer palaces. Qin Mu had invited them to this gathering. The purpose of this gathering was to probe each other before the competition between the 7 outer palaces, to get a feel for each other. Everyone here would have no problem entering Ancestor Dragon City. However, their goal was not as simple as just entering Ancestor Dragon City. Everyone had their own fortuitous encounters during this 1 year. They wanted to see if they could enter Ancestor Dragon City as the top ranker. Many ambitious people's gazes occasionally swept over Qin Mu. Everyone knew that Qin Mu, the strongest person of the Golden Dragon Palace, was an insurmountable hurdle to the top rank. There were several people familiar to Xiao Chen at the table. The Red Dragon Palace's Murong Yen, the Golden Dragon Palace's Wei Hongfei, the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Shi, and the Blue Dragon Palace's Situ Changfeng were among them. Brother Qin, after not seeing you for 1 year, your strength has become increasingly unfathomable. I wonder if you will give me some face and give me some pointers? The one who spoke was the Red Dragon Palace's Ding Jun. The Red Dragon Palace's people had always been straightforward and did not hide anything. Ding Jun was the strongest person of the Red Dragon Palace. Like the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Shi, they were one of the Outer Palace's 4 great experts. If anyone could make it to the top rank, the Red Dragon Palace's Ding Jun would be one of them. Qin Mu held his wine cup and smiled coldly in his heart. Just as he was about to answer, a servant pushed open the door and rushed in a fluster. Why are you panicking? What is this? Is the sky collapsing? When Qin Mu saw his servant lose his composure, he immediately showed displeasure on his face and berated him. That servant was so frightened that he quickly knelt on the ground, not daring to raise his head. Young Master Qin, second young master. Second young master was kidnapped on the streets. Bang! Qin Mu instantly crushed the wine cup in his hand. Chapter 2008. The crisp sound of a wine cup shattering echoed in the room. The temperature in the room plummeted. Strands of cold qi poured into the hearts of all the cultivators present. I have some family matters to attend to. Brother Ding, I will exchange pointers with you another day. After being stunned for a moment, Qin Mu's expression recovered. Then, he stood up with a cold expression and took his leave. However, no one answered him. Everyone else was stunned by the news that the servant had passed on. Ding Jun smiled and said, Interesting. Xiao Chen? That mixed-blood dragon disciple who defeated the Golden Dragon Palace and the Silver Dragon Palace at the same time? A contemplative look flashed in the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Shi's eyes. Then, he said indifferently, who else could it be aside from him? Yuan Shi felt somewhat surprised. He did not know where Xiao Chen got the courage to make a move against Qin Outyin in Divine Dragon City. Ha ha! Junior brother Murong, let's go and take a look. It would be a pity if we do not watch the excitement, Ding Jun called out. When he looked back, he discovered that Murong Yen had already left at some point in time. Feeling somewhat stunned, Ding Jun said, This fellow actually ran faster than me. The strongest disciple of the Blue Dragon Palace, Feng Wuhan, was similarly shocked to discover that Situ Changfeng had left at some point in time as well. Feng Wuhan looked around and asked, Yuan Shi, what do you think of this Xiao Chen? Yuan Shi entered deep thought before replying. He is very strong. However, he is just a mixed-blood dragon in the end. I believe that the various seniors must have undergone special training for this competition between the 7 outer palaces. In terms of resources and accumulations, how can the Heaven Dragon Palace compare to our Divine Dragon Palace? With equal talent, the one with more resources can grow stronger. Furthermore, his talent might not be comparable to ours. Feng Wuheng took a sip of wine and smiled faintly. Let's go and take a look. It seems like no one has dared to offend the Qin clan in Divine Dragon City for several centuries already, right? Let's go. The people present were also very curious about this Xiao Chen. They had heard of his fame long ago. Unexpectedly, he caused such a huge commotion right after arriving in Divine Dragon City. In the past few centuries, no one had dared to make a move against the Qin clan in Divine Dragon City. However, this Xiao Chen was an outstanding talent that had not appeared in the Heaven Dragon Palace for several centuries. The Heaven Dragon Hall was right before them. However, Qin Outyin suddenly woke up at this moment. What's wrong with me? The somewhat dazed Qin Outyin did not know what was going on. When he figured out his condition, he raged, Xiao Chen, you are dead for sure. How dare you attack me in the Divine Dragon City? Even your Heaven Dragon Palace master can't save you this time. And all of you, your accomplices, must die. I'll let you know the consequences of offending the Qin clan. Put me down, Xiao Chen. You talk too much. Xiao Chen knocked Qin Outyin unconscious again with a palm strike. Then, Bai Yunfeng stepped forward to report. Immediately, many Heaven Dragon Palace disciples appeared. Xiao Chen. This is Qin Outyin? When the Heaven Dragon Palace elder in the residence saw Xiao Chen carrying Qin Outyin on his shoulder, his expression changed slightly. Xiao Chen did not answer. He only asked, "Where's the first palace master?" The first palace master and Elder Tianyun are at the city lord's residence, asking about the competition between the 7 outer palaces tomorrow. I'll send someone to inform him now. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said, "Since that is the case, there is no need to inform him. When the first palace master receives the news, he will naturally rush back." That elder nodded. Then, he brought the topic back to Qin Outyin. "Why did you all bring Qin Outyin back? Furthermore, you even injured him? Don't you know that the Qin clan's faction can cover the sky in this divine dragon city?" Bai Yunfeng stepped forward and said, "Elder Yun, Qin Outyin is simply too much of a bully. He wanted the Qin clan's experts to capture us on the streets and force junior brother Xiao Chen to meet his big brother. Junior brother Xiao Chen brought him back, because we had no other choice. There is such a thing." Elder Yun, who was in charge of this place, could not help but frown. This time it was really difficult to handle. He muttered, "With the power of the Qin family, I'm afraid they have already killed their way to our residence." Ta. Right after Elder Yun spoke, urgent galloping came from outside. Then, a disciple rushed in and said, "Elder Yun, it's not good. A group of people came from outside and surrounded our residence. They want us to hand over Qin Outyin and senior brother Xiao Chen. Trouble is here." Elder Yun sighed and looked somewhat helplessly at Xiao Chen and the others. He said, "Tomorrow is the competition between the 7 outer palaces. You absolutely cannot go out. The Heaven Dragon Royal Palace will help you deal with this. Hand Qin Outyin to me. I'll deal with this. Thank you for Elder's kind intentions. However, I have to deal with this myself. The Heaven Dragon Royal Palace can help me for now, but it cannot help me forever. I already have a grudge with this Qin Outyin long ago. I purposely caused today's situation to settle this grudge." Elder Yun looked at Xiao Chen and saw that he appeared calm, not flustered at all. Elder Yun could not make up his mind. Before Elder Yun could speak, Xiao Chen turned around and casually carried Qin Outyin out. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chen walked out of the residence. The lineup before Elder Yun startled him. He saw 3 Qin clan old men riding massive golden beasts giving off a savage aura. The Qin clan cultivators spread out behind them and surrounded the residence. Hundreds of 1-star and 2-star heaven suspending war chariots traveled in the sky, looking very mighty. If not for Divine Dragon City's rules, the Qin clan's people might even bring out 4-star heaven suspending war chariots. Boom! Boom! The massive golden beast in the middle took 2 steps forward. Its huge body gave off a strong might and pressure. The old man on the beast glanced at Xiao Chen and asked, "You are that mixed-blood dragon?" Although Xiao Chen asked that question, this person attacked before he could speak. The old man on the massive golden beast soared into the air and sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen. Golden light spread out from the palm, looking like an overwhelming sea hanging in the sky. The pressure was stifling. Then, strands of golden dragon chi shot out. This was the Qin clan's consummate technique, ash-gray sea roaming dragon. Xiao Chen quickly dodged. The Heaven Dragon Palace disciples and Elder Yun, who rushed over later, were startled. This old man was a great perfection sovereign personage. With such a move, unless there was a miracle, Xiao Chen would be severely injured even if he did not die. Ah! However, Xiao Chen snorted coldly and stomped heavily on the ground, breaking Qin Outyin's arm on the spot. The pain startled Qin Outyin awake and caused him to scream miserably. Whoosh! When the Qin clan expert saw this scene, his face instantly turned green. He quickly withdrew his hand, and the brilliant dragon might and the golden sea hanging in the sky scattered. Then, he landed back on the massive golden beast at lightning speed. Do you want to die? If you harm another hair on Outyen, I will make your entire Heaven Dragon Palace be buried with you. The old man was Qin Outyen's direct elder. When he saw this, he was furious and roared. Ka Xie! Without saying a word, Shao Chun stomped on Qin Outyen's other arm, breaking it. The pain instantly made Qin Outyen pale, and he howled in pain. You! The old man in the middle was so angered that he could not speak. He pointed at Shao Chun, his arm trembling slightly. Unexpectedly, Shao Chun would be so decisive. The Qin clan members behind all became enraged, their killing chi leaking out involuntarily. The heavens suspending war chariots in the air locked onto Shao Chun. With one order, they could kill Shao Chun on the spot. Chi. Without drawing his saber, Shao Chun held the lunar shadow saber and landed heavily on the ground. Qin Outyen's palm instantly pierced through. This time, he was in so much pain that he could not even scream. After enduring for a long time, he roared, "You bunch of bastards! Back off! Do you want me to die? Quickly call my big brother over." Scatter! Scatter! The old man with the surging aura, who did not care about Shao Chun at all, started to sweat on his forehead. Then, he waved his hand anxiously to get the others to scatter. The heavens suspending war chariots in the air no longer locked onto Shao Chun, flying everywhere. When that old man looked at Shao Chun, he did not underestimate him at all. Without saying a word, he got the Qin clan cultivators to retreat. Despite such a big scene, Shao Chun's expression did not change. The many cultivators watching from a distance were all startled. Unexpectedly, Shao Chun was such a decisive person. "Little friend, what exactly do you want? Even if Outyen offended you in some way, there is no need to be so cruel," the Qin clan old man on the colossal golden beast said somewhat nervously, not daring to speak loudly. The old man feared angering Shao Chun, making him unhappy and targeting Qin Outyen again. Now, the old man finally understood that this Shao Chun had nothing to fear. He did not care about such a big scene at all. In fact, this was within the other party's expectations. "What do I want?" Shao Chun smiled self-mockingly. He wanted to say something, but he glanced at the three old men. In the end, he did not say anything. "The person I'm waiting for is not here yet. There is no need to say anything to you." "Are you waiting for me?" Whoosh! A piercing sonic boom rang out in the air, echoing in all directions. Rumble! This sonic boom shattered the roofs of several nearby buildings. Explosions rang out endlessly. A golden figure hovered in the air. That person stood upright with his hands behind his back, showing a stern expression. He wore golden dragon robes, and Emperor Dragon Chi surrounded him. This was the strongest person of the Golden Dragon Palace, Qin Mu. "Young Master Qin, you finally arrived." When the old men saw Qin Mu, who was much younger than them, they released their bated breath. "Withdraw. I'll deal with this." Qin Mu slowly descended and waved his hand. Although the three old men were worried, they still withdrew. Chapter 2009. Qin Mu's arrival caused the atmosphere of the scene to become somewhat tense. Who was Qin Mu? He was the strongest person in the Dragon's Gate's outer palace. After the Dragon God Crown Prince, Qin Ming, he was the most outstanding descendant of the Qin clan. Although Qin Mu was young, his talent and shrewdness were frighteningly high. The way he conducted himself convinced many of the older generation. Many people treated Qin Mu and the Dragon God Crown Prince as the twin stars of the entire Golden Dragon race, Qin Ming and Qin Mu, one in the light and one in the dark. Right now, Qin Ming's name already shook the Divine Dragon Empire, even the entire northern region. He was a rare existence. Even when considering the entire Central Great Realm, He could compete with the dynasty's outstanding talents without being at a disadvantage. As for Qin Mu, he lived up to his name. Although Qin Mu's name resounded like thunder in the outer palace, he was not very famous in the northern region. It was not an exaggeration to describe him as the twin stars of light and dark. The moment Qin Mu appeared, he waved his hand, and the Qin clan experts retreated. This clearly demonstrated his prestige. "Big brother, save me!" Seeing Qin Mu appear, Qin Outyan rejoiced in his heart. It was like he saw his savior, so he started shouting. However, Qin Mu ignored Qin Outyan. He looked straight at Xiao Chen and said, "This is a good move. You forced me to show myself and resolve the problem once and for all. You can release him now. I promise you that the Qin clan will not use Qin Outyan's matter to make things difficult for you in the future. As for the dragon-patterned battlesuit, I will personally come and collect it from you in the future." The experienced Qin Mu went straight to the point. To everyone's surprise, he did not choose to be forceful. Instead, he directly admitted defeat, not saying any nonsense, promising not to seek trouble for Xiao Chen again. Such a stance surprised Xiao Chen. He had thought that Qin Mu would at least test him out. However, this person's boldness and breadth of mind were much stronger than Qin Outyan's. He exuded strong self-confidence. Indistinctly, one could even see the Emperor Dragon's chi revolving around him. This fellow was a difficult opponent. Whoosh! Xiao Chen casually kicked, sending Qin Outyan flying back to Qin Mu like a sandbag. Qin Mu casually grabbed Qin Outyan and pulled him up. "Big brother, you can't let him go." Before Qin Outyan could finish speaking, a slap knocked him unconscious. Qin Mu tossed Qin Outyan to the Qin clan old man and said casually, "Let the second young master rest well. Don't come out for 1 month. Let's go." The grand scene that many people had expected did not appear. Unexpectedly, Qin Mu did not do anything. He gave in and left with Qin Outyan. Elder Yun and the disciples of the Heaven Dragon Hall heaved a sigh of relief. They had not expected the matter to be resolved so easily. Only Xiao Chen frowned. The others only saw that the matter before them had been resolved, but they didn't know that there was such an opponent. The Heaven Dragon Palace's situation was not good in the battle between the 7 palaces. What a pity! In the nearby buildings, there were many people hiding in the dark. They watched as this huge storm was resolved without a sound. At the same time, they felt a little scared. The Qin clan really had many talents. First, there was the Dragon God Crown Prince, Qin Ming. Now, there was Qin Mu. Any one of the Gemini stars would be a great blessing in any clan. However, both of them appeared in the Qin clan, the Golden Dragon's royal clan. "Young Master Qin, just let it go. Our Qin clan's reputation cannot be humiliated by others for nothing." The Qin clan old man felt dissatisfied with Qin Mu's way of doing things. Given the Qin clan's strength in Divine Dragon City, such an outcome was truly sullen. Qin Mu stopped and glanced at the 3 old men. Then, he looked at the many Qin clan experts and the heavens suspending war chariot in the air. Then, his expression suddenly turned sullen as he snorted coldly. "Oh no." The other old men thought to themselves, "This is bad. Young Master Qin is angry." Qin Mu said coldly, "Bunch of pigs. What time is this? The battle between the 7 palaces. How many eyes are watching our Qin clan, watching our Golden Dragon's bloodline? Causing trouble on the streets and causing such a huge commotion is a good reason for others to see our Qin clan as arrogant and unruly. Don't you know how many people from Ancestor Dragon City came to the City Lord's residence?" The 3 Qin clan old men immediately felt somewhat nervous at being reprimanded. Just thinking about it made them tremble in fear. Is there a need to cause such a huge commotion just to deal with one Heaven Dragon Palace? Even if you win, you will appear extremely useless and end up with the reputation of bullying mixed-blood dragons. I think you have been living comfortably for too long. If the next Dragon Emperor changes... Qin Mu suddenly stopped at this point, not saying anything more. However, this person is really bold. Are we going to let him off so easily? A cruel look flashed in Qin Mu's eyes as he retorted coldly, "Did I say that I would let him off? There is no need to do this openly. There will be plenty of opportunities in the battle between the 7 palaces tomorrow. A group of mixed blood dragons is not part of my plans. Since they jumped out, then don't blame me for being ruthless." The cruel look in Qin Mu's eyes made the surrounding old men tremble in fear. In the courtyard of the Heaven Dragon Palace, now that the matter was resolved, everyone relaxed. The disciples started to bask in the joy of Xiao Chen's return. They quickly stepped forward and asked where Xiao Chen had been. Xiao Chen gave a simple explanation, and the group started chatting. Just at this moment, 4 people walked in. They were the Blue Dragon Palace's Situ Changfeng, the Red Dragon Palace's Murong Yen, the Golden Dragon Palace's Wei Hongfei, and the Green Dragon Palace's Duan Fei. When the other disciples saw Xiao Chen's friends arrive, they politely took their leave. "Ha ha! Xiao Chen, you are really something. It would have been fine if you did not appear, but the moment you appeared, you caused a huge commotion. To think that you even scared Qin Mu away." Of course, aside from Murong Yen, no one else would laugh so directly. However, Wei Hongfei looked at Xiao Chen somewhat worriedly and said, "Brother Xiao, I understand this Qin Mu's character very well. He will absolutely not leave things at that. Those who offend him do not have a good ending. There is nothing to be afraid of. The scariest thing about him is that even if he messes with you until you are half dead, you will not be able to find any openings for the seniors to judge." Many of the senior brothers who offended him in the Golden Dragon Palace ended up in miserable states. However, those sect elders could not use the sect rules to deal with him. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "I can tell. This person is very terrifying. However, it does not matter. It is good that Qin Outyan's problem is dealt with. I look forward to seeing how he will seek trouble for me." Wei Hongfei felt stunned when he heard that. Then, he looked at Xiao Chen in shock. He discovered that Xiao Chen's strength was somewhat unfathomable. Right now, Xiao Chen gave Wei Hongfei the impression that he was facing a sovereign personage expert, an unfathomable misconception. Xiao Chen's casual words showed his strong confidence. Although Qin Mu was strong, Xiao Chen did not fear him. He had not cultivated bitterly and fortuitously in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh for nothing. Xiao Chen swept his gaze across the 4 and discovered that they had all improved as well. Situ Changfeng and Murong Yen had improved the most. Situ Changfeng had consumed a medicinal pill containing divine nature and profited from his misfortune. His future potential was boundless. As for this Murong Yen, he seemed to have obtained a pretty good inheritance in the Red Dragon Palace's inheritance hall. Tomorrow is the competition between the 7 outer palaces. We cannot remain here for too long. I hope that you can lead the Heaven Dragon Palace to a record, Situ Changfeng said softly with a smile as he gave his blessings. Xiao Chen said seriously, "I will definitely do my best." At that time, if everyone is forced into a corner and ends up on the opposite side, do not show mercy. Don't be merciful, just do your best. Murong Yen laughed loudly, "Ha ha! Who would dare to show mercy to you? However, I still have to thank you. If not for your reminder, I would not have obtained the demonic flame inheritance of the Red Dragon Palace's 7 great inheritances." The demonic flame inheritance. Wei Hongfei and the others were startled. Clearly, they had heard of how terrifying this inheritance was. They quickly said, "Congratulations. Let's go." The group did not linger. After exchanging some pleasantries, they took their leave. As night approached, the first palace master and Elder Tian Yun returned to the courtyard. When the 2 saw Xiao Chen, they rejoiced. "Xiao Chen, you returned at the right time. If you were not around for the first stage of the competition between the 7 outer palaces tomorrow, our entire Heaven Dragon Palace would have been at a disadvantage." The first palace master could not hide his excitement when he saw Xiao Chen. At the same time, The first palace master looked around and whispered, "Did you obtain the 5-element divine lightning?" Xiao Chen nodded slightly, indicating that he already obtained it. The first palace master immediately became excited. The gamble paid off. This time, the Heaven Dragon Palace will definitely shock the other outer palaces. Chapter 2010. However, Xiao Chen appeared rather calm. Not to mention the Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu, just the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan, she was already somewhat problematic. Even with the 5-element divine lightning, he could not be careless. He could be confident, but he could not be arrogant. Xiao Chen asked cautiously, "What's the first test?" The first palace master and Elder Tian Yun did not elaborate. They only said, "There are only 2 stages in the competition between the 7 outer palaces. The 2 stages are closely connected. Whether one can obtain a good rank in the first stage will directly affect the second stage." Since he couldn't say it, Xiao Chen didn't ask anymore. Night quickly fell. This night was destined to not be peaceful. The Golden Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciple directly entered the Qin residence. The Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd palace master, Qin Feng, called Qin Mu over. "Uncle Feng, why have you called me here so late at night?" Qin Mu had already guessed something. It must be about the competition between the 7 palaces. The Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd palace master, Qin Feng, cut to the chase. "Get straight to the point. Do not hold anything back in the first stage tomorrow. This is different from the past. This first stage directly affects the results of the entire Golden Dragon Palace." Qin Mu raised his eyebrows and exclaimed, "It's that serious? And don't ask anything else. You must get first place." Qin Mu nodded. "I'll try my best." Although that was what he said, he did not care too much about it. Even if he did not use his trump card, he was confident that he could obtain first place in the first round without any pressure. The same scene was occurring in the various outer palaces' encampments. Every leader of the outer hall conveyed similar requests to their chief disciples. Don't hold back. Fight for first place in the first round. This caused the atmosphere of the competition between the 7 outer palaces to become especially tense. The first stage was about to start an intense slaughter with all their might. It was indeed a little different from the previous contests between the 7 palaces. The next morning, the Heaven-class core disciples of the various outer palaces set off at the same time. The venue of the competition between the 7 outer palaces was a forbidden area in the ancient divine dragon city. By the time the first hall master arrived with Xiao Chen and the others, the people from the other outer palaces had already arrived. At the Golden Dragon Palace, Qin Mu raised his eyes slightly and glanced at Xiao Chen before closing them again. Several of the Heaven-class core disciples in the outer palaces looked over and fixed their gazes on Xiao Chen. They pointed at him and discussed softly. Clearly, this Heaven Dragon Palace's white-clad bladesman had already attracted their attention before the competition between the 7 outer palaces started. Previously, when Xiao Chen fought 2 against 1, he defeated the Golden Dragon Palace and Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples. Furthermore, Xiao Chen had just arrived in Divine Dragon City, and he already faced off with Qin Mu. Everyone had a whole new level of respect for him, feeling quite shocked. However, apart from curiosity, there was also a hint of pity in her gaze when she looked at him. Everyone knew that anyone who offended Qin Mu, no matter who he was, wouldn't have a good ending. Xiao Chen remained calm and ignored their gazes. He curiously looked at the field in front of him, which was a huge circular array disc. The formation plate shone with a colorful brilliance. Boundless heaven and earth spiritual energy flowed between the runes, and runes pulsated from time to time. The 5-colored radiance formed an energy ball that overlapped and revolved around each other, emitting a gorgeous radiance. Many people whispered among themselves, wondering what this formation was for. Whoosh! Suddenly, dragon roars rang out in the sky. 5 beams of light streaked across the sky from the south to the north. They formed a staircase of light and shadow. A few figures appeared above, and stood on the stairs made of light and shadow. Its ancestor Dragon City's people. When the people below saw the dragon motifs on those figures' clothes, they became somewhat excited. In the end, the core of the divine Dragon Empire's authority was in the hands of ancestor Dragon City. Only by entering it could one truly come into contact with the Empire's core. Only then could one truly be qualified to move unhindered in the northern region, to gain a place on the vast stage of the entire central great realm. A white-clad old man on the steps of light exuded a strong might and pressure as he looked down. Then, he said, in the first stage of the competition between the 7 outer palaces, the various outer palaces will send their strongest people into the formation and then come out. According to the order, the first to come out will be the first. The second will be the second, and so on. If one obtains the first rank, all the heaven-class core disciples of the outer palaces will be qualified to enter the second stage. The outer palaces of the second rank will have 40 slots to enter the second stage. The third rank will have 30 slots. The remaining outer palaces will have only 15 slots. Right after the white-clad old man spoke, the disciples of the various outer palaces went into an uproar. To think that the first stage was set up like this. At this moment, Shao Chen understood what the first palace master meant. If he could obtain the first or second rank, he would be able to obtain the second rank. If he obtained the first rank or second rank, all the heaven-class core disciples of the entire Heaven Dragon Palace would be able to enter the second stage. As the resources of the Heaven Dragon Palace were limited, it had far fewer heaven-class core disciples than the other outer palaces. 40 slots were sufficient for all the heaven-class core disciples to enter the outer palaces. Even the third rank would be completely acceptable. No wonder the first palace master could not hide his excitement when he learned that Shao Chen had arrived in time. Various outer palaces, quickly select your candidates. Golden Dragon Palace, Qin Mu. Silver Dragon Palace, Yuan Shi. Red Dragon Palace, Ding Jun. Blue Dragon Palace, Feng Wuheng. Heaven Dragon Palace, Shao Chen. Every time a person was confirmed, a figure would turn into a streak of light and fly into the 5-colored energy ball in front of the formation plate. Good, the candidates have been confirmed. Next, the various outer palaces will confirm the 2 candidates. Enter the formation and block off the people from the other outer halls. The white-clothed old man glanced at it and said, "This sudden appearance stunned the leaders of the various outer palaces. The news he heard last night didn't include this." The expression of the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master sank. This was undoubtedly an enormous blow to the Heaven Dragon Palace, which had the weakest foundation. If the experts of the other halls managed to stop Shao Chen, it would undoubtedly widen the gap between him and the chief disciples of the other outer halls. At that time, if he were to encounter the competitors of the outer hall, he would definitely be able to escape. Shao Chen, who was injured by the sniper, would immediately fall into a disadvantageous position. Before the battle even started, the situation had instantly become extremely disadvantageous. As for the other outer palaces with stronger accumulations, the Golden Dragon Palace and the Silver Dragon Palace, when they heard of the second rule, they were shocked. After being stunned for a moment, he smiled. To them, this was a great piece of news. The first palace master looked around and fixed his gaze on Lu Feng, Bai Yunfeng, and Xiao Jinyu. Finally, he fixed his gaze on Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu. These 2 were experts of the sword Dao. If they work together, they should be stronger. It will be the 2 of you then. Do your best to attack. Snipe the top disciples of the other outer palaces that you run into. This will reduce some of the pressure on Shao Chen. The first palace master looked at the 2 sincerely. At this moment, Shao Chen was no longer fighting alone. Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu felt immense pressure. They said, "This disciple will definitely do his best. I'll leave it to you." The disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace started to feel somewhat anxious. Originally, they already felt somewhat nervous when they let Xiao Chen face the top disciples of the other outer palaces. Now there was this rule. The situation could not help but worsen. The fate of all the heaven-class core disciples of the outer palaces now fell on Xiao Chen's group of 3. Everyone watched as Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu entered the energy ball at the same time. Then, the candidates of the various outer palaces were confirmed. The 5-colored energy ball in the center of the formation plate suddenly gave off a dazzling and piercing light. In the next moment, the resplendent light vanished. 3 ancient bronze doors with dragon motifs carved on them appeared in the center of the formation plate. Whoever could push open one of these doors and walk out would be the first. The competition between the 7 outer palaces officially began at this moment. The first palace master sighed softly. Man disposes and heaven disposes. I have already done my best. Tianyun, come with me to meet Ancestor Dragon City's Lord Feng. The 2 soared into the air, together with the leaders of the various outer palaces, and went to the light steps that stretched across the sky to greet Ancestor Dragon City's Lord Feng. At the same time, they paid attention to the battle below. They anticipated the top heaven-class core disciples of their respective outer palaces being the first to push open the bronze doors. The heaven-class core disciples of the various outer palaces also waited anxiously. After all, this also determined whether they could enter Ancestor Dragon City or not. Everyone silently cheered for the top disciples of their outer palaces. Chapter 2011. The instant Xiao Chen entered the 5-colored energy ball, he felt a change in space. After the world spun around, the scene before Xiao Chen changed drastically. What appeared before Xiao Chen was a large path made of rock. On both sides of the path was a sea of boiling lava. Bang! 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 Occasionally, scorching lava soared into the sky, looking like pillars of water. A scorching aura lingered in the air. When Xiao Chen sensed it, he discovered that the gravity in this place was somewhat abnormal. It was about 10 times that of the outside world. Xiao Chen was not in a rush to walk onto the rock path. He let his physical body adapt to this space first before casting his gaze to the end of the path. At the end of the path was a huge stone door. There was no other path. After Xiao Chen adapted to this space, he took a deep breath. Then, he instantly executed Light of Freedom. Xiao Chen turned into a flash of lightning and flew along the path. Along the way, waves occasionally shot over from the lava on both sides. Xiao Chen had no choice but to slow down and carefully avoid the waves. In his lightning state, he was rather weak. Hence, the lava knocked him over. By the time Xiao Chen recovered his physical body, he might have already been burned to ashes. Even so, Xiao Chen still felt that something was not right. Halfway through, the nearby lightning-attributed spiritual energy was already squeezed out by the dense fire-attributed spiritual energy. Xiao Chen could only exhaust his veritable essence energy to maintain the state of Light of Freedom. Clearly, this was not good. Who knew what danger lay behind the stone door? Exhausting his veritable essence energy like this was not wise. Xiao Chen was forced to reveal himself. He landed gently, and the instant his feet touched the ground, a figure appeared out of nowhere. The instant his feet touched the ground, he thought to himself, "Oh no!" Bang! The seemingly incomparably sturdy Great Tao instantly crumbled. A suction pulled Xiao Chen's body down. Now, huge waves of lava spewed out from both sides, looking like the huge mouth of a ferocious beast, wanting to swallow Xiao Chen up. How troublesome! Xiao Chen spat out 2 words. Then, his veritable essence energy, which contained the holy venerate will, trembled. With a bang, it scattered the lava that was swallowing it down like it was breaking dry branches. With a backhand slap, Xiao Chen borrowed the force and soared into the sky, stepping onto the unbroken path. Then, he started running quickly. The path beneath his feet kept collapsing, but his speed was always slightly slower than Xiao Chen's. In this space with 10 times the gravity, Xiao Chen's figure was still light and agile. He remained calm in the face of danger and dealt with it calmly. Despite the daunting experience, Zhang Xian arrived at the end of the path, right before the stone gate. Xiao Chen now understood that there would be various tests along the way to delay their time. From the looks of it, there was not much danger. But every section of the road would be delayed, and by the time they reached the end, they might find that others had already walked out a step ahead of them. He couldn't hold back any longer. Just as Xiao Chen made up his mind, the stone door in front of him suddenly fell, and a shadow enveloped him. This situation was like a mountain suddenly collapsing in front of you. Shatter! Xiao Chen snorted coldly, and 100 cauldron force exploded in his fist light. Xiao Chen's punch blasted the stone door that suddenly collapsed into shards flying everywhere. Whoosh! He gently spread his arms and pierced through the shrapnel filling the air. Then, he landed in an extremely spacious hall. The entire hall was made of ancient heavenly mountain stones and carved with ancient dragon motifs, giving off an extremely strong pressure. Xiao Chen gently moved his feet, and he saw a pillar suddenly rise from the center of the hall. Just as Xiao Chen felt uncertain, his heart skipped a beat for some reason, and panic assaulted his heart. This feeling was extremely familiar to Xiao Chen. He did his best to recall. This is roar. It's the bane of the dragon race. Boom. The instant Xiao Chen recalled, the pillar suddenly shattered, and a ferocious beast appeared before Xiao Chen. This ferocious beast was different from what Xiao Chen remembered. This ferocious beast before Xiao Chen looked like a ferocious tiger. However, a venomous snake coiled on its furry back. Snake-tailed tiger. Xiao Chen understood. This was a ferocious beast with a Ho bloodline, not a pure-blooded ferocious beast Ho. The person who set up the checkpoint was really crazy. An ordinary dragon race cultivator would not be able to resist this snake-tailed tiger at all. In just a few moves, the snake-tailed tiger would devour the dragon race cultivator until nothing was left. However, Xiao Chen was different. He had fought the Ho ghost and received pointers from the old dragon horse in the Kunlun realm's Blue Dragon Palace. Xiao Chen's resistance to the Ho was much stronger than that of the other dragon race cultivators. The snake-tailed tiger roared, and a huge ferocious might spread out from its body. The sound waves reverberated, and the might of the Ho bloodline spread out together with the sound waves. This placed immense pressure on Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen did not panic at all. He moved back, putting a distance between himself and the snake-tailed tiger. Whoosh! The snake-tailed tiger suppressed Xiao Chen with its aura. Then, it pounced at Xiao Chen at lightning speed. The force of the snake-tailed tiger's pounce strengthened the pressure on Xiao Chen to the extreme. Xiao Chen's breath poured in, nearly blocking Xiao Chen's throat. A strong wind blew, like a mountain soaring into the sky, bringing with it pressure. Xiao Chen gently pushed off the ground and moved over in the time it took for a spark to fly. Xiao Chen dodged the fatal pounce. However, the ferocious beast's snake-like tail spat out a mouthful of venom. Xiao Chen had no choice but to dodge again in a somewhat sorry state. Pu ci. The venom landed on the ground and gave off black smoke. The horrifying poison immediately spread in the air. Even if one held their breath, the poison could penetrate the veritable essence energy shield and enter one's body. Whoosh! The situation immediately became extremely dangerous. The snake-tailed tiger's attack forced Xiao Chen into a fluster. Its ferocious might immediately flourished, and its roar sounded like thunder. The snake-tailed tiger's attacks became extremely sharp. Furthermore, the poison lingering in the air and the Ho bloodline in its body made Xiao Chen feel even more uncomfortable. Whoosh! 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 The snake-tailed tiger's lightning-fast attacks came continuously. The attacks were accompanied by thunderous roars, like raging waves, each wave stronger than the one before. Xiao Chen was like a small boat that could capsize at any moment. If others were here, they would definitely be frightened. They would not even dare to breathe loudly. This situation was simply too dangerous. Most of the time, as long as Xiao Chen was one step slower, the snake-tailed tiger would immediately pounce on him. Once pounced, with the snake-tailed tiger's 200-odd cauldron strength, Xiao Chen would not be able to make a comeback. Whoosh! Whoosh! The snake-tailed tiger felt that Xiao Chen, who had slipped through its jaws several times, was too slippery. It could not sustain the snake-tailed tiger's sharp attacks for much longer. The snake-tailed tiger looked at Xiao Chen, who was in a sorry state. However, it did not panic. Xiao Chen must have panicked under its attacks, like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. Since Xiao Chen was physically and mentally exhausted, he would be its meal sooner or later. It might be better to slow down its attacks and rest for a while before charging at this person in one go. At this thought, a greedy and cunning red light flashed in the snake-tailed tiger's eyes, looking extremely cold and sinister. The coiled snake on its back even flicked its forked tongue and hissed, disturbing one's mind. However, the snake-tailed tiger did not notice that although the white-clad youth was in a sorry state, he did not show any panic in his eyes from start to finish. That youth's clear eyes shone with a colder light than his ferocious scarlet eyes. When the snake-tailed tiger landed, its storm-like attacks finally stopped for a moment. 5-element divine lightning, thunder monarch spear. Suddenly, lightning exploded in Xiao Chen's palm. With the infusion of great Tao energy, the 5-element divine lightning condensed into a resplendent spear radiating thousands of lightning bolts. The snake-tailed tiger, who had just landed, could not react in time. That person was dressed in white, and he held a lightning spear in his hand as he lightly stabbed forward. A brilliant Tao might surged out. The thunder Tao might at the tip of the spear instantly sent the snake-tailed tiger flying. Then, the spear pierced the snake-tailed tiger's body like a dragon. Lightning exploded in the snake-tailed tiger's body, turning into a 5-colored light that shot out continuously. In the next moment, the snake-tailed tiger's life force ended, becoming lifeless. By the time Xiao Chen withdrew his hand, only a huge and tough skeleton remained. The 5-element divine lightning in the Thunder Monarch spear blasted the snake-tailed tiger's internal organs and fur into nothingness. Xiao Chen remained expressionless and calm, as if he had only done something insignificant. He looked to the front and muttered to himself, "I killed this snake-tailed tiger in one move. I should be able to make up for the time I wasted along the way. The others won't be able to kill as fast as I did." A brilliant light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. His figure moved like lightning as he charged forward. His decisiveness, calmness, and past experience gave him a chance to snatch first place. Charge! 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 With the opportunity in hand, he would never give up. Chapter 2012. After quickly killing the snake-tailed tiger, Xiao Chen advanced to the next stage unharmed. The others were not as lucky. The Ho was the natural nemesis of the dragon race. It was a faction rooted in the depths of the bloodline, something that could not be changed. The dragon race bloodline, which could suppress most mutated beast bloodlines, was helpless before the Ho. The silver dragon palace's Yuan Shi instantly paled when he felt the snake-tailed tiger in the pillar. Yuan Shi had not expected Ancestor Dragon City's people to be so cruel, setting up such a difficult stage in the first stage. Fortunately, they were all peak existences of the 7 great outer palaces. Even if they could not defeat it, they did not have to worry about survival. If it were an ordinary heaven-class core disciple, they would not be able to resist this snake-tailed tiger with the whole bloodline. They would be torn to shreds in 2 or 3 bites. Yuan Shi did his best to remain calm, hoping that the whole bloodline in the snake-tailed tiger would not affect him. However, fear lingered. No matter how calm he was, he could only bring out 70% of his strength. Being able to bring out 70% was already pretty good. The disciples of the other outer palaces could only bring out 50%. At the very least, Yuan Shi could kill this snake-tailed tiger with 70% of his strength. 50% would be too much. The only one who fared better was Qin Mu. Although Qin Mu was affected as well, he possessed the noblest golden dragon bloodline. Furthermore, his bloodline was grade 7. Furthermore, the current Dragon Emperor was a golden divine dragon. This allowed Qin Mu to borrow the Dragon Emperor's dragon might and bring out 80% of his strength. If there were no surprises, Qin Mu should be the first to kill this snake-tailed tiger, aside from Shao Chen. The leaders of the various outer palaces stood on the light steps that stretched across the sky. They did not know what the disciples in the formation were experiencing. Only 3 bronze doors waited to open in the huge formation plate. Lord Feng, what are the tests in the first stage? The Green Dragon Palace's palace master asked curiously as he looked at the white-bearded old man from Ancestor Dragon City. The white-bearded old man replied casually, "There is nothing special about the first stage. Aside from the increased gravity, the dangerous environment, and your own attacks, the snake-tailed tiger is somewhat difficult to deal with." What? These words caused the faces of the hall masters to change greatly. Elder Tianyun was even more stunned. He felt like he could not stand stably. He looked at the first palace master beside him and said in a fluster, "First palace master, Shao Chen, it was common knowledge that the bloodline power of a mixed blood dragon was the weakest. In the face of the snake-tailed tiger with the nightmare beast bloodline, its resistance was undoubtedly the weakest. However, the hall masters of the other outer halls did not look good either. It was obvious that they were worried about the snake-tailed tiger. However, the Golden Dragon Palace's palace master appeared very confident. He said, "It looks like the first to push open the bronze doors will be my Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu. Aside from Qin Mu, I cannot think of anyone else who can deal with the snake-tailed tiger the fastest." The other hall masters knew that what Shao Chen said was true. The bloodline of the Golden Divine Dragon was the noblest, and Qin Mu's bloodline was a 7th grade one. His advantage in this round was too great. The Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd palace master glanced over and fixed his gaze on 1st palace master Exin. He smiled and said softly, "Brother Exin, you have to worry. Although it is dangerous for the Divine Dragon Outer Palace disciples to face the snake-tailed tiger, their lives will not be in danger. On the other hand, I fear that your Shao Chen will not be able to last in a few exchanges. After all, the bloodline is there. Lord Feng, why don't you give him a chance to give up in this round?" The other hall masters immediately felt happy when they thought about it. This was rather interesting. Before the competition between the 7 outer palaces, this Shao Chen had been very famous in the Heaven Dragon Palace. This was especially so when Shao Chen fought against 2 Divine Dragon Outer Palace Heaven-class core disciples when the 3 outer palaces gathered. While Shao Chen might still be somewhat weaker than the strongest Heaven-class core disciples of the various outer palaces, such a heaven-defying mixed-blood dragon cultivator had rarely appeared in the past few centuries. However, who could have expected a horrifying and terrifying existence of the snake-tailed tiger to appear in the first round? This was simply a destructive blow to a mixed-blood dragon cultivator. As the saying went, bad luck. The white-bearded old man entered deep thought. He did not care about the conflict between the Golden Dragon Palace and the Heaven Dragon Palace. After thinking rationally, he looked at the 1st palace master and asked, "Exin, what do you think? Going by convention, one cannot give up. However, this year's test is indeed somewhat special. I do not know what happened in there, but I can sense that Shao Chen is still alive. If you have any thoughts, I can get Shao Chen to withdraw." "Haha. Brother Exin, stop holding on. Lord Feng already said that. Why are you still holding on?" The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master said casually with a soft laugh. "That's right. What is there to think about? In any case, aside from the top 3, the other outer palaces will be at the bottom. Giving up will not have much of an impact. In any case, the Heaven Dragon Palace ranks last every year. This time, everyone will rank last with you. That is already pretty good. With the existence of the Heaven Dragon Palace, the other outer palaces' nervous moods eased somewhat, and they started to tease each other. The human heart was strange. Many times, since one could not obtain the first rank, it was fine as long as one did not embarrass oneself at the bottom. With the Heaven Dragon Palace here, everyone felt much better. As long as the first palace master gave up, everyone would be at the bottom. They would still be able to suppress the Heaven Dragon Palace and not be at the bottom. At this moment, first palace master Exin felt conflicted, suffering. He had never felt such a difficult choice before. On one hand, the leaders of the various divine dragon outer palaces mocked him. On the other hand, he worried about Xiao Chen's safety and struggled with whether to give up or not. No matter what, he should prioritize Xiao Chen's safety. However, first palace master Exin felt somewhat dissatisfied. This was a great opportunity for the Heaven Dragon Palace to obtain a good ranking. The heavens blessed the Heaven Dragon bloodline, allowing Xiao Chen to appear in the Heaven Dragon Palace. First palace master Exin remembered that proud, white-clad youth when he first entered the Heaven Dragon Palace. He bluntly told Tianyun that he would regret it. He could still remember the shock he felt when he heard the news of him slaying Rakshasa Tian's clone in the first netherworld. Xiao Chen still remembered the white-clad Xiao Chen who stood at the top of the Heaven Dragon and executed the Supreme Dragon Fist, showing his unyielding character and shocking the surroundings. Xiao Chen still remembered the joy he, his second brother, and his third brother felt when they learned that Xiao Chen fought against 2 Divine Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples by himself during the gathering of the 3 outer palaces. He still remembered the promise he made with Xiao Chen before he left, as well as the fighting spirit burning in his eyes and the unwavering determination on his face. The first palace master thought about many things. However, in the end, he still decided to let Xiao Chen live. No matter what, as long as one was alive, there would be hope. Life was the most important thing. However, just as the first palace master was about to speak, Elder Tianyun suddenly pulled the first palace master back and said, "First palace master, let's make a bet. I understand Xiao Chen. If we let him give up like this, even if it's for his own good, he might never forgive us for the rest of his life." But, Elder Tianyun said resolutely, "First palace master, have you forgotten what he said to me when he first came to the Heaven Dragon Palace? Have you forgotten about the white-clad figure who stood at the top of the Heaven Dragon, comprehended the Heaven Dragon's mysteries, and executed the Supreme Dragon Fist? First palace master, trust me. Don't give up. Otherwise, Xiao Chen will never forgive us for the rest of his life. He is not someone who gives up easily. If even he did not give up, yet we gave up, what would he think?" The first palace master was stunned when he heard that. It was like lightning struck his mind. That's right. If even Xiao Chen did not give up, yet we gave up on him, what would he think? He was a dragon race cultivator who dared to take the risk to shatter Rakshasa Tian's clone. How could he give up before a snake-tailed tiger? A light flashed in the first palace master's eyes. He no longer wavered as he said, "Many thanks, Lord Feng. The Heaven Dragon Palace will not give up. It will not give up on its disciple." There was still something that the first palace master did not say. The Heaven Dragon Palace could not remain at the bottom forever. Lord Feng found this slightly strange. However, since the first palace master made his choice, he did not say anything. This decision surprised the palace masters of the other divine dragon palaces. The Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master's face sank. He smiled coldly and said, "Brother Exin, you are really going all out. For the sake of a good ranking, you even disregard the lives of your disciples. However, thinking about it, it makes sense. In any case, he is just a mixed-blood dragon. Even if he dies, Brother Exin will not care. Do you wish to die?" First Palace Master Exin's face turned sullen when he heard that. A cold, murderous intent spread in his voice, inspiring fear in everyone. This startled the others. They thought to themselves, oh no! This Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master went overboard. They had also forgotten how terrifying the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master was. The other party's bloodline was not high, but his comprehension ability was startling. When he was young, he had been an unruly person. Back then, during the Empire's war, this man before them had relied on his military merits to climb to the position of the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master. Shao Chun was not like them. While they were strong, they relied more on the power of their clans. The White Dragon Palace's first palace master quickly tried to mediate. Brother Qin, your words are a little overboard. We are all people of the dragon race. How can there be a difference in strength? No matter who it is, this concerns lives. It is a major matter. Right. Brother Qin, just apologize. Stop speaking. Fortunately, the other palace masters gave him a way out. The Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master knew that he was in the wrong. He also feared Exian's strength somewhat, so he said casually, "Sorry, Brother Exian. I said the wrong thing earlier. Let me apologize to you." The first palace master wanted to flare up. However, Ancestor Dragon City's Lord Feng was here, so he could not say anything, so he could only drop the subject. When the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master saw this scene, he smiled coldly to himself. A mixed blood dragon is just a mixed blood dragon. Chapter 2013. After he left the palace, he advanced at full speed. Right now, he did not know that in the world outside the array formation, what happened on the staircase of light and shadow that traversed the heavens almost pulled him out. If the first palace master really wanted him to give up, even if Shao Chen's mental state was pretty good, he would probably feel extremely depressed. He had not given up, yet someone else gave up on him. Such a sullen feeling would make one feel extremely helpless. Soon, a city wall appeared before Shao Chen. The city gates were tightly shut, and dark clouds spread out. Shao Chen stopped and entered deep thought. This world is really strange. The sky is probably an illusion. Everything is just a small world in the formation. Come out. Stop hiding. Shao Chen said softly to the majestic city wall. There were two people hidden in the city wall. These two people hid their auras very ingeniously. Although Shao Chen could sense their presence, he did not know their strength or other information. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two men wearing golden battle armor leaped down from the city wall. One of them held a spear. His face was sharp, and his eyes were like resplendent gems, bright and clear. He looked delicate and handsome, giving off the air of nobility. In terms of elegance, he was no weaker than Qin Mu, one of the Qin clan's twin stars. The other person was tall and stout, 2 meters tall. His muscles bulged, looking like his battle armor would burst. This person wore a pair of black gloves flickering with a dim light, giving off a faint Dao. This was an inherited Dao tool. This person was actually an exceptionally rare vital Qi cultivator. When Shao Chen saw the two, his expression did not change. However, he felt somewhat shocked in his heart. These two were the Golden Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciples. Their rankings seemed to be rather high. Shao Chen had some impression of them outside, as they were very close to the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master. Wasn't the so-called first stage only for the strongest of the various outer palaces? How did the Heaven-class core disciples from the outer palaces get in? After waiting for so long, it is actually a mixed blood dragon. Seeing how confused you are, I'll tell you. Each outer palace can send out 2 people to randomly attack the strongest disciples of the other outer palaces. Unfortunately, you ran into the 2 of us. Golden Dragon Palace's Zhao Long. The handsome youth holding the spear gently spun the spear, and a few gusts of wind whistled out from the tip of the spear as he reported his name. The Golden Dragon Palace's Tai Zongming. The vital Qi cultivator looked at Shao Chen and smiled cruelly. Then, he reported his name. These two were experts of the Golden Dragon Palace, second only to Qin Mu. Their strengths were about the same. If the two of them worked together, even Qin Mu would have a hard time dealing with them. Xiao Chen raised his head to look at the city wall behind the two of them and said thoughtfully, "I can leave as long as I push open the city gate." Hearing this, Tai Zongming couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Why do you think you'll have the chance to do so in front of the two of us? We have not reached the second stage yet, so I advise you to save your energy. To tell you the truth, even Qin Mu would find it hard to defeat the two of us if we work together. Aside from him, we are the strongest in the Golden Dragon Palace." Both of them couldn't help but laugh when they saw that Xiao Chen was still thinking about getting lucky. In reality, the two were more likely to target the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuanxi, the Red Dragon Palace's Dingjun, or the Blue Dragon Palace's Feng Wuheng. They wanted to do their best to create a chance for their senior brother Qin Mu to obtain the first rank. Indeed, they felt somewhat disappointed when facing Xiao Chen. They felt like they could not bring out their strength at all, wasting a chance to snipe. "Make your move, then. Let me see where the two of you get your confidence from." Xiao Chen showed a calm expression as he made an inviting gesture. Zhao Long felt slightly enraged when he heard that. He said sullenly, "You won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. You are seeking a beating." While Zhao Long spoke arrogantly, he was extremely cautious when he attacked, not getting careless at all. Clearly, these two had heard of Xiao Chen's exploits and would not be careless. Bang! Zhao Long attacked first. However, Tai Zongming's attack arrived first. With a cold laugh, Tai Zongming punched the ground with his fist. Amid the loud sound, the ground shook. A terrifying crack extended to Xiao Chen's feet. The horrifying energy seemed like it would tear Xiao Chen in half like the ground. This was how vital qi cultivators were. The circulation of vital qi were much faster than that of veritable essence energy. With a thought, they could erupt with horrifying force with a casual punch. This was not like veritable essence energy, which needed to flow through the meridians and coordinate with one's aura and Tao. Xiao Chen did not retreat. He snorted coldly and stomped heavily on the ground. The spreading crack stopped. The two's strength clashed underground. In the next moment, Lin Yun's eyes widened. In the next moment, the ground between the two shattered and exploded. Rubble flew everywhere, and the ground trembled. Space seemed to turn chaotic as well. Whoosh! A cold light flickered like an icy star amid the rubble. Zhao Long held up his spear, looking like a deity. Strands of golden divine dragon images circled Zhao Long as he shook his wrist. The golden divine dragon images merged with the spear. The resplendent golden light at the tip of the spear looked as piercing as the sun. "Solitary dragon illuminates the sky," Zhao Long shouted. He infused most of his veritable essence energy into this spear strike. He activated his holy venerate will and great Tao energy at the same time, raising his aura to its peak. Zhao Long was extremely confident in this spear strike. This spear strike would definitely injure Xiao Chen. Even if Xiao Chen did not die, he would be severely injured. After that, Tai Zongming would make another move and Xiao Chen would lose. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen was no longer the Xiao Chen from 1 month ago. He could still block this spear strike. At the critical moment, Zhao Long saw the white figure in front holding up the scabbard and pointing it at the sky. He did not draw the scabbard? Dang. Before Xiao Chen could think, the tip of the scabbard clashed with Zhao Long's nearly full power strike. A vast force surged out. Aside from the area under Xiao Chen's feet, the surrounding ground cracked and shot out ferociously. The strong might was clear to see. However, Zhao Long was horrified to discover that Xiao Chen did not move back at all. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen, who had used the scabbard to receive his spear strike, did not get knocked back. How can this be? Shock flashed in Zhao Long's eyes. He was horrified to discover that the two overlapping Dao might behind Xiao Chen had already suppressed him at some point in time. Go back. Zhao Long ferociously pushed back with the scabbard, and a huge force surged out. Zhao Long, who was in the air, felt his internal organs rupture. Blood leaked out of a corner of his lips as he was forcefully pushed back by Xiao Chen. Clang! Xiao Chen's movements were as smooth as flowing water. The instant he pushed back Zhao Long, he drew his tyrant saber, and a cold light flashed in the sky. Kasie! The saber's edge pierced through Tai Zongming's shoulder armor and embedded itself in his shoulder bone. Tai Zongming paled as he knelt on one knee. His hands clamped down on the saber's edge, not letting it descend any further. Tai Zongming was still immersed in a lingering fear. He had clearly calculated the timing earlier. With such a sneak attack, Xiao Chen would not be able to pull back. However, Xiao Chen seemed to have calculated everything. When Tai Zongming made his move, the saber light landed and locked onto him. In that instant there was only this saber in the world. The fear of death spread in Tai Zongming's heart. In the face of danger, the advantage of being a vital qi cultivator showed itself. He managed to avoid getting hit in his vitals. However, he could not escape unscathed in the end, still getting struck by the saber light. You are seeking death. When Zhao Long saw the situation, he felt incredibly frustrated. While he was still in the air, he spun around and tossed the spear in his hand. The spear was like a dragon bearing fangs and claws as it roared at Xiao Chen. Dragon roars rang out, and the golden dragon's dragon might pressed over, wanting to knock back Xiao Chen and give Tai Zongming a chance to escape. Break! Xiao Chen shouted coldly and punched with his left hand. 100 cauldron force surged out from his body and burst out from his fist light. Zhao Long's strike did not store up any power. When the 100 cauldron force exploded, the golden dragon image instantly scattered. The spear reappeared, and the spear trembled as it hummed in the air. Die! Tai Zongming, who was kneeling on one knee, took advantage of this opportunity. He roared ferociously and grabbed the entire saber with his left hand. Tai Zongming's eyes turned scarlet, and his vital qi surged like thunder. His body gave off loud, thunderous sounds. His aura instantly surged, and blood flowed out of his left hand, which held the saber. However, Tai Zongming ignored that, forcefully standing up while holding the saber. He clenched his right hand tightly and punched at Xiao Chen's head. His entire right arm turned into a corporeal berserk dragon as vital qi poured out endlessly. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be caught off guard by Tai Zongming's sudden attack, and their head would have exploded into a bloody flower. Physical body cultivators should never be underestimated. In any dangerous situation, they could erupt with miracles at any time. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen was also a physical body cultivator. Divine Dragon War Body. Xiao Chen snorted coldly, and his body swelled up. His figure instantly became the same as the tall and stout Tai Zongming. After Tai Zongming went berserk, the aura that temporarily suppressed Xiao Chen vanished at this moment. Xiao Chen clenched his left hand into a fist. After bringing out his Divine Dragon War Body, he did not show any fear, directly clashing with Tai Zongming. Bang! The two fists clashed, and an instant explosion occurred. Tai Zongming vomited a mouthful of blood as he went flying into the air. Xiao Chen's figure flickered. With a few leaps, he managed to dissipate the force. The white-robed figure remained calm and indifferent in the chaotic space where rocks filled the air, strong winds blew, and dragon roars rang out. It looks like Qin Mu held back a lot of his strength when fighting you. Goodbye. Xiao Chen did not waste time with these two. He sheathed his saber and turned into a flash of lightning, flying towards the city gates in front. Zhao Long and Tai Zongming exchanged glances, their eyes filled with bitterness. They had lost somewhat miserably. The two of them still had some combat prowess. If they really wanted to drag things out, they could delay Xiao Chen for a long time. However, it was pointless. The two's confidence had been shattered. If they continued fighting, it would affect them greatly. At the second stage, they might run into a mishap. There was no need to make such a huge sacrifice for Qin Mu. Xiao Chen's heart was as clear as a mirror. He knew what the two were thinking. Then, he passed through them without any hesitation. He knew that these two would not dare to stop them. Creak! Xiao Chen pushed open the city gates, and the world before him suddenly changed. Then, he entered a suppressive palace again. Xiao Chen sized up his surroundings. After searching for a while, he did not discover any hidden dangers in the palace. The surroundings were tightly sealed, forming an enclosed cage. Xiao Chen found this strange. What exactly was this stage testing? He could not help entering deep thought. Is this the final stage? Xiao Chen felt that he had already reached the end. He could feel the edge of the formation world through this palace. Just as Xiao Chen felt uncertain, a gentle breeze appeared in the palace. A figure appeared together with the gentle breeze. Feng Wuheng! Xiao Chen. The two saw each other's faces at the same time and called out each other's names. Boom! An ancient bronze door suddenly appeared at the end of the palace. The two were startled. A brilliant light flashed in their eyes at the same time. They instantly understood that this was the final stage. Only one of them could push open this door and walk out. Chapter 2014. After seeing the bronze doors, the two calmed down from their shock. With their intelligence, they were able to guess that this was the final trial. After pushing open the bronze doors, they would at least be in the top 3. Otherwise, they would be at the bottom. Now that the two met, only one could leave. This was undoubtedly a very cruel thing. Feng Wuheng looked around and gained some understanding of this stage. The bronze doors would only appear when 2 people arrived in the palace. Whoever arrived first could recover their aura and veritable essence energy, allowing them to face their opponent in their peak state. After all, no matter who it was along the way, they would all be somewhat drained and would not be in their peak state. Due to Feng Wuheng's wind-attributed advantage, aside from the snake-tailed tiger stage, he had rushed over at the fastest speed possible. He had rushed over as fast as he could for the other tests. However, he had not expected Xiao Chen to arrive before him. The shock in Feng Wuheng's eyes when he first saw Xiao Chen was not fake. Xiao Chen did not overthink. He shifted his gaze from the bronze doors to Feng Wuheng. It looks like only one of us can leave. Feng Wuheng's eyes flickered, but he did not reply. He smiled and said, I wonder how long brother Xiao Chen has been here. Feng Wuheng was testing Xiao Chen. If Xiao Chen had been here for so long, it meant that Xiao Chen had recovered to his peak state. If Xiao Chen fought rashly, he would suffer greatly. Feng Wuheng himself had rushed all the way here. He even used a secret technique along the way, draining himself significantly. Xiao Chen smiled faintly in his heart. Naturally, he knew what Feng Wuheng was thinking. He did not hide anything and said directly, If you need to recover, I can give you 15 minutes. During this time, I will not make a move. Feng Wuheng felt startled when he heard that. Xiao Chen's attitude completely exceeded his expectations. Many thanks. I once heard Situ talk about Brother Xiao, and his tone was filled with admiration. I did not believe him in the past, but today, I see for myself that even Qin Mu does not have such breadth of mind and confidence. These words were true. Feng Wuheng was not like the others who looked down on mixed-blood dragons. However, when he heard Situ talk about Xiao Chen, he did feel some disdain. Xiao Chen did not think that a person with a mixed-blood dragon bloodline could be as strong as Situ said. Today, he saw it for himself. Feng Wuheng's eyes flashed as he said in a deep voice, But I'll say this in advance. I won't show you any mercy. He sensed an opportunity from Xiao Chen. If he had encountered someone else in the final round, he might not have been able to fight for first place. But if it was Xiao Chen, he really had a great chance this time. As you wish. Xiao Chen was not surprised and said softly. Xiao Chen had his own considerations. Since these people were from the Blue Dragon Palace, there was no need to take things too seriously on account of Situtong. There was no need to make too many enemies. Leaving a favor to the other party wasn't a bad idea either. Moreover, he was confident that even if his opponent had recovered, he would still be able to defeat him. As long as he pushed open this door, he would be in the top 3. To the Heaven Dragon Hall, this was completely acceptable. As the Heaven Dragon Palace had relatively few Heaven-class core disciples, the third rank would allow everyone to enter the second stage. Time passed slowly. A quarter of an hour soon passed. Feng Wuheng opened his eyes and stood up. Then, he faced Xiao Chen once more. No matter who wins or loses, I owe Brother Xiao a favor this time. Please give me your guidance. Feng Wuheng was rather straightforward, not saying anything unnecessary. After saying that, he took a stance. Whoosh! The two's gazes clashed in the air, searching for openings in each other's aura. Lightning crackled and flickered endlessly behind Xiao Chen. The Thunder Great Tao slowly stored up power. Gusts of wind drifted around Feng Wuheng, slowly growing stronger. Holy Venerate Will! Feng Wuheng could tell that Xiao Chen's cultivation was weaker, so he decisively infused his will of soul into his aura. Immediately, the formless strong wind seemed to come to life. With the support of the will of soul, the omnipresent wind became like a divine dragon, carrying a vast might and pressure as it charged at Xiao Chen. The dragon hid in the wind. The dragon image moved with the wind, and dragon might surged everywhere. In that instant, Xiao Chen felt the other party's might spread out in this space, putting immense pressure on him. Clearly, Feng Wuheng had put in a lot of effort into his will of soul. It already possessed a soul pressure no weaker than that of an early-stage sovereign personage. Light of the sun and moon. Xiao Chen did not panic. With a wave of his hand, the sun and moon rose behind him at the same time. Xiao Chen's suppressed aura immediately bounced back. Although his cultivation was not as high as Feng Wuheng's, he possessed a mysterious phenomenon of his soul. The moment he manifested it, not only did he resolve the danger before him, but he even managed to counterattack. The situation startled Feng Wuheng. He knew that he had no choice but to make a move. If Xiao Chen still did not make a move, his aura would be at a complete disadvantage. Wrath of Wind, Doomsday Storm. Feng Wuheng revealed an extremely ferocious and furious expression as he threw a palm strike as he roared. What kind of scene would the Doomsday Storm be like? Xiao Chen had never seen it before. However, he believed that the scene before him would be no different from the Doomsday Storm in the outside world. Feng Wuheng's palm strike instantly plunged every inch of the entire palace into a berserk state. Rumble! Strong winds howled in every corner. The palace shook as if it would collapse at any moment. There was no place to hide. The power of the storm was everywhere. Xiao Chen felt like millions of invisible hands were trying to tear him to shreds. Indeed, none of the outer palace's 4 great experts were weak. The moment Feng Wuheng attacked, he caught Xiao Chen off guard and could not adapt. Fortunately, Xiao Chen's physical body was strong. Otherwise, he would not be able to withstand such a tearing, instantly losing. Set! Xiao Chen shouted and took a step back with his left foot. Then, he ferociously swung the tyrant saber with his right hand. Dang! The tip of the scabbard instantly sank 1 centimeter into the ground. The Thunder Dao's Dao Might and the Saber Dao's Dao Might layered over each other. Then, the veritable essence energy in Xiao Chen's body turned into a momentum that soared up like a stabilizing needle. No matter how strong the wind howls, I will not move. Wrath of Wind, heartless and hateful. A desolate intent spread out from Feng Wuheng's body. This move took the meaning of the desolate autumn wind sweeping through the world as it surged towards Xiao Chen. A will of destruction appeared in the berserk wind. When the two merged, they perfectly materialized the desolate autumn wind. It swept over, sweeping through everything in its path. Break! Xiao Chen remained expressionless as he silently executed the Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal. When the saber light came out of its scabbard, it turned into an eternal and inextinguishable saber light. This was the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques resolving the mundane. Was it the merciless autumn wind, or was it the merciless Buddha who resolved the mundane? Fighting merciless with merciless? In the time it took for a breath, the desolate palm wind clashed with the inextinguishable saber light. The autumn wind scattered and the saber light exploded. Thousands of strands of autumn wind accompanied the shattered resplendent saber light as they flew everywhere, filling the entire space. As they flickered, mottled light and shadows formed a wondrous scene. However, the two were not in the mood to appreciate it. Their figures flashed as they quickly attacked, neither giving way to the other. Just as the two of them were immersed in their fight, the other two palaces finally welcomed the others. In one of the palaces, the Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu managed to easily break through the attacks of two White Dragon Palace experts. Then, he looked around curiously. Just as Qin Mu was thinking, a figure flashed, and a bronze door appeared. Ding Jun. Qin Mu felt startled. Unexpectedly, he ran into Ding Jun in the final stage. If it were anyone from the other outer palaces, Qin Mu was confident of convincing the other party to win without a fight. However, it would be somewhat problematic to run into the Red Dragon Palace's Ding Jun. Even so, Qin Mu still said, Ding Jun, this should be the final stage. We have fought many times, but you have not won even once. How about you do me a favor this time and let me push open that door? Ding Jun withdrew his gaze from the surroundings and chuckled. Qin Mu, since when have you seen my Red Dragon Palace disciples negotiate with others? Stop being so wishy-washy like a girl. If you want to fight, then fight. Be more straightforward. Qin Mu's face sank. He retorted coldly, You Red Dragon Palace bastards are like stones in a latrine pit. Since you do not appreciate my kindness, don't blame me for being ruthless. Many thanks for the praise. Come, come, come. Let me see how ruthless you are. Ah. Ding Jun laughed loudly, unconcerned. The two quickly started fighting. Without any preparation, they immediately launched their most ferocious attacks. In the remaining palace, the White Dragon Palace's Ling Xiao, who had arrived very late, was sizing up the surroundings when a figure in a somewhat sorry state appeared before him. Yuan Shi. Ling Xiao was greatly startled. Yuan Shi's body was riddled with wounds, bleeding. These were all sword wounds. The sword intent lingering in Yuan Shi's wounds had yet to scatter. Clearly, Yuan Shi would take some time to recover. Yuan Shi's sword Dao was publicly recognized as the strongest in the outer palaces. To think that such a person was covered in sword wound. Brother Yuan, which outer palace attacked you? Ling Xiao asked, feeling interested. Boom. Right after Ling Xiao spoke, an ancient bronze door suddenly appeared at the end of the palace. This startled the two. After the shock passed, they revealed different expressions. Yuan Shi said with a sullen expression, Ling Xiao, we have some friendship. Can you let me rest for a while before we fight? Ling Xiao smiled and said, I'm not a fool. If you recover, how can I be a match for you? Friendship aside, you can't blame me for being unlucky. Yuan Shi immediately felt frustrated. He could not tell that this Ling Xiao was normally a righteous person. However, at the crucial moment, Ling Xiao did not give Yuan Shi a chance. This old man finally understands. However, it is not as easy as you think for you to defeat me. After this, the three palaces entered a state of battle. The Green Dragon Palace's strongest disciple, who arrived late, was in a somewhat miserable state. He had already lost the right to compete in the final stage. Outside the formation plate, Lord Feng, who stood on the light steps in the sky, raised his eyelids slightly and said softly, Those who are qualified have already entered the final test. Soon, the first rank will be revealed. Whoosh! The moment Lord Feng said that, the many outer palace masters on the steps all showed nervous expressions. The Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master did not have a relaxed expression, either. He was waiting for Qin Mu to be the first to come out, so he could vent his frustration. Chapter 2015. The battles in the three palaces in the formation world had already reached their climax. The battles in each of the palaces were especially intense, so much so that they could even be described as tragic. The exit was right in front of them. Either they would rank in the top 3 or last. The two results were simply too different. No one was willing to be last. This was especially so for the famous Outer Palace outstanding talent. They would not give up until the very last moment. Who would be the first to walk out of the bronze doors? After so much time had passed, not only were the palace masters on the light steps in the air waiting anxiously, but the heaven-class core disciples on the ground waiting as well. After all, this concerned the slots for the outer palaces to enter the second stage. This concerned honor and benefit. Everyone hoped that their strongest disciple could stand out and become the first. Why are there no results yet? This is really making me anxious. Why is Senior Brother Qin Mu not appearing yet? There's no rush. Senior Brother Qin Mu is publicly recognized as the strongest of the outer palaces. There should not be any surprises with him obtaining the first rank of the first stage. It would be good if he can enter the top 3. With that, most of the people in our Silver Dragon Palace will be qualified to enter the second stage. Given Senior Brother Yuan Shi's strength, while he might not be the first rank, he is definitely in the top 3. The various outer palace disciples started discussing in low voices in groups of 2s and 3s. The many Heavenly Dragon Palace disciples did not dare to say anything before this group of divine dragon bloodline cultivators. If they said anything, they would attract gazes of criticism. The many divine dragon disciples who looked down on mixed-blood dragons mocked them in their hearts. The one at the bottom would definitely be Shao Qin. When Li Luo and the others heard this, they felt angry in their hearts. However, they did not dare to show it on their faces. They could not help it. Aside from them, the others were all divine dragon bloodline disciples. If they started arguing, they would not be able to escape any benefit. This first stage is very considerate of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Aside from the top 3, everyone else is at the bottom. This is really unfair. Indeed. Why can't there be 4, 5, 6, and 7? Just thinking about it pisses me off. Ancestor Dragon City is clearly biased toward these mixed-blood dragons. Speak softer. Don't let others hear. So what if they heard it? What's there to be afraid of? I'm just speaking the truth. If Senior Brother doesn't make it to the top 3, our slots will be the same as those mixed dragons. That's unfair. Although the ear-piercing criticism was suppressed, no one present could hear it. Bai Yunfeng and the others held their breaths, their expressions somewhat unsightly. Not far away, the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Tai saw this scene. He smiled faintly and said, "Brother Yunfeng, don't be angry. The Heaven Dragon Palace has been at the bottom for so many years. No matter what, we have to take care of them, right? These people are not giving face. Just ignore them. I support Ancestor Dragon City's decision." The Silver Dragon Palace disciples were extremely confident of their senior brother, Yuan Shi, entering the top 3. On the other hand, Yuan Tai had nothing better to do, so he teased Zhang Xian. On the surface, he seemed to be supporting Zhang Xian, but he was secretly mocking him. Right. Our Silver Dragon Palace supports Ancestor Dragon City's decision. This group of people is truly shameless. They are so harsh to their fellow sect members. Brothers of the Heaven Dragon Palace, don't be sad. Our Silver Dragon Palace disciples are absolutely not that harsh. Under Yuan Tai's lead, the group of bored Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples all started laughing loudly. In any case, as long as nothing unexpected happened, Yuan Shi would definitely enter the top 3. There was no need to worry too much. Bai Yunfeng trembled in anger, wanting to flare up on the spot. However, Li Luo, who was at the side, held him back, telling him not to act rashly. Creak. Just at this moment, a strange sound came from the formation plate. It was not loud, but everyone heard it. It was the sound of a door being pushed open. Someone was pushing the ancient bronze doors. In the blink of an eye, the chatter came to an abrupt stop. Everyone's gaze was directed toward the 3 ancient bronze doors on the giant formation plate in front of them. Everyone turned anxious, including the Silver Dragon Palace's group. The smiles on their faces vanished, and they watched nervously. He watched nervously. After all, no one could predict the outcome of an accident. It's the door in the middle. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, every detail of the 3 ancient bronze doors was captured by the crowd. It could be clearly seen that the door in the middle was being pushed little by little, emitting a creaking sound. The person pushing the door seemed to have exhausted a lot of veritable essence energy and stamina. It appeared somewhat strenuous, unable to push the door open in one go. Who is it? Right now, everyone was trying to guess who was pushing this door open. Without a doubt, the person who pushed this door open would be the first. Qin Mu. Qin Mu. It must be Qin Mu. On the light steps, the Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd palace master already had a somewhat crazed look in his eyes. He nearly could not help muttering to himself. He could not help it. His earlier words were too firm. He had ruthlessly trampled on the Heaven Dragon Palace. If Qin Mu did not rank first, it would be somewhat embarrassing. Although the palace masters of the other outer palaces knew that it was very likely Qin Mu pushing the door open, they still held some hope. However, he still had some expectations. He hoped that his disciple would be the one who was pushing the door open. The many Golden Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples already held their breaths in extreme anxiety, waiting for the answer. Compared to these Divine Dragon Palace disciples, the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples showed somewhat desolate expressions. They did not seek to rank first. They only hoped that their senior brother Shao Chen could help them rank in the top 3. As long as they could rank in the top 3, they would be able to hold their heads high and release all the pent-up frustration in their hearts. As long as they could rank in the top 3, all the grievances they had suffered over the years would be worth it. However, the rumors they heard earlier discouraged them. They had already heard about the snake-tailed tiger. They had already heard about a mixed-blood dragon bloodline cultivator facing a snake-tailed tiger with a Ho bloodline. The result was simply unimaginable. Although the ancient bronze door in the middle pushed somewhat slowly, it eventually opened a crack. Then, the crack slowly widened. When the crack expanded to 3 inches, a side profile and a set of blood-stained golden armor appeared clearly in front of everyone under the sunlight. It was Qin Mu. Qin Mu's handsome face appeared somewhat fatigued. However, the sharpness hidden in his eyes, the noble air of a golden dragon, and the blood-stained golden armor all showed it. This person was Qin Mu, one of the Qin clan's twin stars, the strongest person in the outer palace. Ha ha! This old man already said that the first rank would definitely be my Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu. Earlier, I called him a mixed-blood dragon, and you want me to apologize? Damn it! To think that the strongest golden dragon in the outer palace wants to apologize to a mixed-blood dragon. The Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd palace master could not help laughing maniacally on the light steps. Clearly, the 3rd palace master was also frustrated. Although his earlier apology to the 1st palace master was not sincere, it still upset him, a golden dragon. After suppressing it for a long time, it finally erupted. Although the 3rd palace master's words were arrogant, when he saw Qin Mu, who was the first to push open the ancient bronze door, the other outer palace masters did not say anything. The 3rd palace master had no choice. At this moment, he indeed had the capital to be arrogant. Even if the 1st palace master felt dissatisfied, he could not say anything, nor could he say anything. The results were there for all to see. This was a world where the strong reigned. Lord Feng would not care about it. It's senior brother. It really is senior brother Qin. The pride of the Golden Dragon bloodline, the dignity of the royal clan, senior brother did it. The strongest of the outer palaces will definitely be the noble Golden Dragon bloodline. No one can shake him. The Golden Dragon Palace's heaven-class core disciples felt incredibly excited. Some even had tears in their eyes as they cheered in unison. The other outer palace disciples all showed somewhat desolate expressions. However, they did not show much change in their expressions. The strongest of the outer palaces was truly the strongest of the outer palaces. He lived up to his reputation. Qin Mu, who was pushing open the door, felt extremely fatigued. When he saw this scene, he squeezed out a smile on his pale face. It was worth it. It was worth fighting that madman from the Red Dragon Palace to the brink of death. Fortunately, he did not fail in his mission. It was all worth it. Boom. Suddenly, without any warning, an explosion came from the formation plate. Before everyone's incredulous gazes, the ancient bronze door to Qin Mu's left exploded. Then, a piercing electric light burst out from it. The electric light was as piercing as the blazing sun. A figure shot out from within the 10,000 zhang of lightning. That person wore white robes, looking spotless. He had a handsome face and delicate facial features. His expression was calm as he held up the tyrant saber and landed firmly in the air. Who else could it be but Xiao Chen? Everyone was stunned by this scene. Qin Mu had only pushed the door halfway. He hadn't even had the time to take a step out. The smile on his face had yet to fade when it froze. The cheering Golden Dragon Palace disciples were utterly stupefied. After the white-bearded old man on the light steps recovered from his shock, he said calmly, "Congratulations to the Heaven Dragon Palace's disciple, Xiao Chen, for being the first to leave and obtaining the first rank." The Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master, who had cursed excitedly earlier, was instantly stunned. He felt a burning pain on his face. The first palace master felt a lump in his throat, but he maintained a relatively calm expression. Without even looking at the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master, he said softly, "Tianyun, let's go and receive Xiao Chen." However, Elder Tianyun could not help turning around to look at the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master. Our Heaven Dragon Palace really does not care for your Golden Dragon Palace's apology. You keep calling us mixed blood dragons. You are not even comparable to a mixed blood dragon. What noble golden divine dragon! Noble my ass! After cursing, Elder Tianyun turned and left. This angered the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master into trembling. He pointed at the other party, but could not say anything for a long time. After being criticized by a Heaven Dragon Palace elder in public, the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master felt so frustrated that he wanted to die. However, he could not do anything. Chapter 2016. At first, the many Heaven-class core disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace did not believe their eyes. When the white-bearded old man announced that the Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chen obtained the first rank, everyone felt like they were startled awake from a dream. Only then did they wake up from a dream. The emotions that they had been suppressing for a long time erupted, and they could not help but cheer. Senior brother Xiao Chen obtained the first rank. He really obtained the first rank. The first rank belongs to our Heaven Dragon Palace. We are not at the bottom. The eyes of several Heaven Dragon Palace disciples turned moist. The earlier feeling was simply too unbearable. Don't cry. Don't let others see you as a joke, Bai Yunfeng said softly. However, at some point in time, his eyes had already become moist. Although Xiao Chen obtained only the first rank of the first stage, it marked an epic-making moment in the history of the Heaven Dragon Palace. It had been many years. Even the many elders of the Heaven Dragon Palace did not know how long the Heaven Dragon Palace had been at the bottom for. How much mockery and disdain had the Heaven Dragon Palace endured. Today, Xiao Chen obtained the first rank. How could these people not feel excited and excited? The Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples at the side were all stupefied. Their expressions turned sluggish, completely in disbelief. Even though Ancestor Dragon City's Lord had already announced this result, they still found it hard to accept. Yuan Tai, who had mocked the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples earlier, showed an unsightly expression as he stole a glance at Bai Yunfeng and the others. Yuan Tai discovered that the other party could not be bothered with them at all, focusing all their attention on Xiao Chun. Yuan Tai heaved a sigh of relief. If Bai Yunfeng and the others came over to trample on him now, it would be a slap in the face. With Xiao Chen's first rank, even if Yuan Tai suffered a slap in the face, he could only endure it and not lose his temper. Yuan Tai consoled himself, it's fine, it's fine. This is just the first stage. The second stage is the most important. As long as Senior Brother can enter the top 3, it will be fine. The Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples all set their gazes on the final ancient bronze door. They anticipated that Yuan Shi could push open this ancient bronze door. First place, Xiao Chen. Second place, Qin Mu. If not for Yuan Shi, the Silver Dragon Palace would have ranked last in the first stage. However, even after a long time, this ancient bronze door did not open. The faces of Yuan Tai and the others darkened. Senior Brother Yuan Tai, the door is open! Someone exclaimed as he pointed at the giant array disc in front of him. Yuan Tai was overjoyed. He immediately glanced at the door and saw it being pushed open. Then, the White Dragon Palace's Ling Xiao walked out with a victorious smile on his fatigued face. The many Silver Dragon Palace disciples felt like they had fallen into an ice cave, stunned. When Bai Yunfeng saw this scene, he felt slightly stunned. Then, he smiled softly and said, "This is surprising. The Silver Dragon Palace did not even make it into the top 3. However, the people from the Silver Dragon Palace probably don't mind. They were quite supportive of the rules of the first stage." His voice was not loud, but it was extremely ear-piercing in the ears of Yuan Tai and the others. This was especially so when they mocked Bai Yunfeng and the others earlier, expressing their support for Ancestor Dragon City's rules. This time, he had been given a solid slap in the face. He had trapped himself in a trap, and he had no way to refute. His expression was extremely ugly. The other outer palaces were also discussing this matter. Yuan Shi was someone who was thought to be second only to Qin Mu. Yet, he was actually at the bottom of the first stage. Boom! With Ling Zhao's appearance, the first stage came to an end. The outer palace disciples responsible for sniping were sent out. The white-bearded man said, "That's enough. Go and rest first. I will announce the rules of the second stage in 2 hours. Even the snake-tailed tiger could not stop you, and you actually managed to obtain the first rank. You should be glad that you did not run into me," Qin Mu said coldly as he walked past Xiao Chen with a sullen expression. Then, he left without looking back. Qin Mu felt extremely depressed, extremely sullen. Anyone would feel upset. The first to push open the ancient bronze door had already enjoyed the cheers of the crowd, the glory of the victor. Then, he instantly turned the tables, becoming the second rank in the blink of an eye. If not for his good mental state, he would have gone berserk on the spot. "Brother Xiao, congratulations on obtaining the first rank." The Blue Dragon Palace's Feng Wuheng walked over and performed a cupped fist salute with a smile. The two of them exchanged blows in the palace, and the victor was decided. After the victor was decided, Feng Wuheng stopped decisively, not continuing to tremble. However, Xiao Qin retained most of his veritable essence energy and great Tao energy. Hence, Xiao Qin could shatter the ancient bronze door with one strike. Unlike Qin Mu, who was drained by Ding Jun and could only push open the ancient bronze door bit by bit. "You are too polite." The two had gotten to know each other after fighting. Xiao Qin obtaining the first rank was the other party's help, a close victory. "Haha. Goodbye. I'll see you in the second stage." Feng Wuheng smiled freely and turned to leave. "Junior brother Xiao Qin, you obtained the first rank?" Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu exclaimed in shock as they walked over and looked at Xiao Chen. They did not know the results when they were inside. They only found out after hearing Feng Wuheng's congratulations, feeling incredibly shocked. I was lucky. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, his expression changed. He suddenly discovered that the two's injuries were extremely horrifying. They were all terrifying sword wounds. The sword intent spreading from them had yet to fade, still invading the two's physical bodies. Your injuries. When speaking of their injuries, the two revealed smiles. Lu Feng said excitedly, we succeeded in sniping Yuan Shi. We estimate that he will not pass the final test. The first palace master told us to do our best to help you. Although Yuan Shi did not run into junior brother Xiao Chen, it was worth it. When the two learned that Xiao Chen obtained the first rank, they were overjoyed, completely forgetting about their injuries. However, Xiao Chen felt some heartache. These injuries were somewhat severe. Yuan Shi was really ruthless in his attacks. Two mixed blood dragons, don't let me run into you in the second stage. I, Yuan Shi, swear that I will make the two of you pay the price. Yuan Shi, who could not control his killing chi, walked past the two. When he looked at Xiao Jinyu and Lu Feng, he looked like he wanted to attack on the spot. If not for these two, how could he not be a match for Ling Xiao? However, just at this moment, Yuan Shi's expression turned grave. He suddenly discovered an even more terrifying killing chi surging towards him. Then, Xiao Chen said coldly, I, Xiao Chen, swear that if you dare to take revenge on the two of them, I will return it tenfold. Let me warn you, don't let me run into you in the second stage, either. Even when facing Qin Mu's mockery, Xiao Chen did not get angry or take the initiative to say anything. However, this Yuan Shi truly angered Xiao Chen somewhat. The sword wounds on Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu had already angered Xiao Chen somewhat. Xiao Chen had been too ruthless in his attacks. Some of the wounds would have resulted in unimaginable consequences if they had not been slightly off target. To think that this Yuan Shi did not intend to let them off, wanting to take revenge in the second stage. This touched on Xiao Chen's reverse scale. Yuan Shi felt startled for some reason. Xiao Chen's killing chi had already affected his mental state. Yuan Shi forced a cold smile and said, Do you think I'm afraid of you? After saying that, Yuan Shi immediately left, not daring to compete in killing chi with Xiao Chen. Junior brother, there is no need to be so serious. Perhaps he is just joking. After all, we are all from the dragon race. Lu Feng felt somewhat surprised when he saw Xiao Chen's grave expression. Xiao Chen said softly, That better be the case. Let's go. The first palace master is still waiting for us. Let the first palace master treat your injuries. Right. Ling Xiao, who remained in the formation plate, watched as the three left. He muttered, It turns out that I relied on these two to get third place. This is really shocking. To think that Yuan Shi suffered at the hands of these two in terms of the sword Dao. It looks like the Heaven Dragon Palace cannot be underestimated. When Xiao Chen returned to the Heaven Dragon Palace's group, the first palace master had already been waiting for him for a long time. Fortunately, I did not fail, Xiao Chen said seriously as he performed a cupped fist salute and bowed. You can't. You can't. Elder Tian Yun quickly stepped forward and stopped Xiao Chen from continuing to bow. He said, Since you can stand at the top of the Heaven Dragon Palace, there is no need for you to bow to anyone. The rules of our Heaven Dragon Palace are not that strict. Furthermore, you are our hero. The first palace master and I, as well as all the disciples, have to thank you. The first palace master smiled warmly and said, Tian Yun is right. I have not been this happy in many years already. It has really been many, many years. The nearby Heaven-class core disciples were still young. However, the first palace master had experienced a lot. His calm words contained a sense of vicissitudes that others would find hard to sense. The first palace master looked around and fixed his gaze on Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu. A gratified expression flashed in his eyes as he said, Very good. This time, the Heaven Dragon Palace has not only Shao Chen but also the two of you. Come with me. I will personally treat your injuries. The first palace master should have a lot more to say. However, when the first palace master saw Xiao Jinyu's and Lu Feng's injuries, he spoke briefly before personally removing the sword intent from their bodies. On the other side, the Silver Dragon Palace's second palace master reprimanded Yuan Shi with a cold expression, appearing extremely angry. Being at the bottom meant obtaining only 15 spots. This was completely unacceptable to the Silver Dragon Palace. The Silver Dragon Palace had deep accumulations. Its heaven-class core disciples were second only to the Golden Dragon Palace. 15 spots meant that most of the people would not qualify to enter the second stage. Yuan Shi knew that he could not refute, so he lowered his head in silence. Chapter 2017. The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master felt extremely angry after Yuan Shi was taught a miserable lesson. The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master had high hopes for Yuan Shi and poured countless resources into him. In the end, Yuan Shi ranked last in the first stage. The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master's reprimand was just short of calling Yuan Shi trash. Elder Mu, treat his injuries. You should reflect on yourself. Don't make any more mistakes in the second stage. The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master left after saying that. Yuan Shi felt incredibly sullen. He looked around and fixed his gaze on Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu. However, Yuan Shi's gaze lingered on these two for only 1 second before landing on Xiao Chen. It's him. Back when the three outer palaces gathered, if not for Yuan Shi giving Lu Feng a chance to seek defeat, Lu Feng would not have improved so much. When Yuan Shi thought about Xiao Chen's earlier threat, the rage in his heart nearly spewed out. Damn it! To think that a mixed-blood dragon can obtain the first rank and even dare to threaten me. The repeated reprimands twisted Yuan Shi's heart somewhat. If not for the situation, Yuan Shi would have had the urge to attack Xiao Chen on the spot. The second stage, which would determine the final rankings and results, was about to begin. The various outer palaces' palace masters personally reserved all sorts of peak-grade medicinal pills for their trump cards, not stingy at all. On the light steps, the group of elders from Ancestor Dragon City felt surprised at the results of the first stage. Unexpectedly, a disciple of the Heaven Dragon Palace obtained the top rank of the first stage. This Xiao Chen is rather interesting. There does not seem to be such a noble clan in the Divine Dragon Empire. Such a result is actually a good thing. The Heaven Dragon Palace has been at the bottom for many years. If they can get a good result in this competition between the 7 outer palaces, they can resolve the conflict between the mixed blood dragons and the Divine Dragon cultivators. The white-bearded old man revealed a smile. Clearly, he was very satisfied with such a result. Not only could he resolve the conflict between the mixed blood dragons and the Divine Dragon cultivators, but he could also suppress the Golden Dragon Palace, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The white-bearded old man's gaze fell on Xiao Chen. Then, he nodded repeatedly. Suddenly, he exclaimed, "Heaven Dragon's mysteries!" With a single glance, he could tell that Xiao Chen had comprehended the Heaven Dragon profundity. My goodness! The Heaven Dragon Palace was really going to prosper. The white-bearded old man was secretly shocked. Being able to comprehend the profundity of the Heaven Dragon was already an extremely rare feat, not to mention, Xiao Chen was still young, and the wisp of Heaven Dragon's profound meaning seemed to have already materialized. Not long after, a thoughtful look flashed in his eyes, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Summoning a man, he lowered his head and whispered a few words into his ear. That man received the order and left. In the Golden Dragon Palace's group, after Qin Mu swallowed a Heaven Tier Rank 7 top-grade medicinal pill, his quintessential essence and soul power were recovering at an extremely fast speed. However, his complexion was not very good. His face was dark, and he looked as if he didn't want anyone to approach him. Everyone could see that he was in an extremely bad mood. It was best not to provoke him at this time. How many years had it been since he had occupied the number 1 spot in the outer palace? Yet, at such a crucial moment, someone had trampled on him, becoming a stepping stone for others, a background. When Qin Mu pushed open the ancient bronze door, he could only watch as the other party shot out and landed first. At that instant, no one could understand Qin Mu's emotions. A proud person like Qin Mu found it hard to accept defeat, much less a mixed-blood dragon. Qin Mu. The Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master walked over and looked at Qin Mu worriedly. Third palace master. Qin Mu nodded slightly, not bowing or greeting. Don't overthink. The first stage is not important. The second stage is the final ranking. The first stage is actually nothing, the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master consoled. Although the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master felt extremely upset, the competition between the 7 outer palaces was not over yet. He could not allow anything to go wrong. He needed to appease Qin Mu's mental state. Otherwise, he would be in trouble if he could not obtain the first rank in the second stage. Qin Mu retorted coldly, "Third palace master, do you think that I cannot control my mental state? That's not it, don't worry. I was just unlucky in the first stage, running into the Red Dragon Palace's madman. I was careless and did not use some of my trump cards. Third palace master, there is no need to worry about me." Haha, that is good. After all, he is just a mixed-blood dragon. I don't believe that he can overturn the situation. As the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master spoke, he appeared somewhat excited. Clearly, Elder Tianyun's words on the light steps still made him feel conflicted. "Third palace master, we are filled with confidence in you. Senior brother, we are filled with confidence in you as well," the Golden Dragon Palace disciples at the back said at the same time. The Golden Dragon Palace's face had never been so humiliated before. They needed to regain it. The Golden Dragon Palace could only place this hope on Qin Mu. Qin Mu felt slightly stunned. After a while, he said, "Don't worry. An insignificant mixed-blood dragon cannot trample on the dignity of a golden dragon." In the Heaven Dragon Palace's group, Lu Feng's and Xiao Jinyu's injuries had mostly healed. They could still display their abilities in the second stage. Right now, all the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples were excited. They were filled with confidence in the second stage. As long as Xiao Chen was around, he could create miracles at any time. When the first palace master saw this, he showed a gratified expression. Unknowingly, the Heaven Dragon Palace's appearance seemed to have undergone hundreds of changes with Xiao Chen's arrival. Xiao Chen's aura and spirit had already influenced the many inner and outer palace disciples. Now, he even encouraged the heaven-class core disciples in this competition between the 7 outer palaces. Everyone in the Heaven Dragon Palace was influenced by Xiao Chen. Even the upper echelon felt gratified. The Heaven Dragon Palace and Xiao Chen had long since merged into one. No matter how much time passed, Xiao Chen's deeds would definitely be passed down in the Heaven Dragon Palace for generations. Xiao Chen encouraged the mixed-blood dragon disciples at the bottom of the Divine Dragon Empire. Indomitable spirit, never giving up until the very end. This was the most valuable gift that Xiao Chen gave to the mixed-blood dragons. From the moment he left the stage until now, Xiao Chen could feel many gazes on him. There was surprise, shock, disdain, and cold smiles. There was even a murderous intent. However, it did not matter. Xiao Chen did not mind. The only thing that surprised him was that the mysterious old man from Ancestor Dragon City on the light steps had been staring at him for a long time. Before he knew it, 2 hours had passed. However, Whitebeard showed no signs of announcing the start of the second stage. Many people started to feel suspicious. "First Palace Master, why has the second stage not been announced yet?" A disciple in the Heaven Dragon Palace asked EXN. Exion's expression remained calm. That's normal. If there are no surprises, the second stage will take place in the formation world. As for the specific test, we will need some time to arrange it. The operation and maintenance of this formation is an extremely complicated matter. It is not as simple as it looks. Furthermore, it is good that it takes longer. It will give you more time to prepare. I hope that it takes as long as possible. That disciple had only asked casually. When he heard that, he did not say anything more. Xiao Chun, Li Luo, and the others sat together, chatting with relaxed expressions. What do you think Ancestor Dragon City is like? Xiao Jinyu asked out of curiosity. A look of anticipation flashed in his eyes, showing a yearning for Ancestor Dragon City. Senior Brother Bai is the most qualified to answer this question, Li Luo said with a smile. Bai Yunfeng smiled casually and said, I have never been there either. However, when I was with my senior brothers in Ancestor Dragon City, I heard a little about it. Ancestor Dragon City was built on an extremely ancient dragon race remnant that dates back several epochs. Even now, it has not been fully explored. Most of the dragon race secret techniques that we can cultivate came from there. Speaking of mysterious, it is naturally extremely mysterious. Even the Dragon Kings do not know all of Ancestor Dragon City's secret. While it is not mysterious, it is just the inner sect of a sect. It is no different from the other rank 7 sections. There will be competition and challenges, and it will not be easy. However, no matter what, being able to enter it will be of great help to us dragon race cultivators on the path of the martial Tao. Bai Yunfeng's words stirred everyone's yearning for Ancestor Dragon City. Seeing that they would have a chance to enter Ancestor Dragon City after clearing the second stage, everyone became excited. Everyone discussed why they wanted to enter Ancestor Dragon City. Xiao Chun listened quietly at the side with a smile on his face. Junior brother Xiao Chun, why don't you tell us as well? Why do you want to enter Ancestor Dragon City? Bai Yunfeng asked when he saw Xiao Chun remaining silent. Right. Junior brother Xiao Chun, tell us as well. Everyone felt incredibly curious. Their gazes fell on Xiao Chun, waiting for him to speak. When Xiao Chun saw the situation, he smiled helplessly. You might not believe me, but I entered Ancestor Dragon City mainly to meet someone. I believe you. I guess it must be a woman, a very, very beautiful woman. Li Luo smiled craftily, showing a rare mischievous side. Everyone laughed. No one believed that their junior brother Xiao Chun, who was so dedicated to the martial Tao, would really meet a woman. Xiao Chun laughed as well but did not rebut. No matter what the results of the second stage are, I, Lu Feng, feel that it is all worth it to be able to fight alongside everyone today. The usually cold Lu Feng showed rare signs of emotion. Everyone was indeed very happy today. Such happiness was something that they had not experienced in many years. Junior brother Xiao Chun, thank you, Lu Feng said sincerely. Then, he looked seriously at Xiao Chun and said, really, thank you. You don't know this, but all the disciples of our Heaven Dragon Palace are very grateful to you. It is not just because you obtained the first rank. It has been many years. Those Divine Dragon Palace disciples have looked down on us. Even our own people look down on each other. Without you, everyone would not be so united. We would not have the courage to challenge the second stage. When Lu Feng said this, the other disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace all stopped talking. Regardless of whether they were standing or sitting, regardless of how far away they were, all the Heaven-class core disciples looked at Xiao Chun. Actually, these were what they wanted to say in their hearts as well. Xiao Chun felt somewhat moved in his heart. He looked around and said, I have to thank all of you as well. I have wandered for many years, suffered a lot, and experienced many difficulties. The Heaven Dragon Palace made me feel like home again. I will never regret joining the Heaven Dragon Palace or getting to know all of you. At this moment, everyone in the Heaven Dragon Palace was of one mind, united as a fortress. Just at this moment, the white-bearded old man on the light steps finally spoke. The second stage was about to begin. The entire place fell silent. The long-awaited moment was finally about to arrive. In the air, the white-bearded old man looked around and said, "The second stage is about to begin. However, before I announce the rules and start, I have something else to announce. Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chen, come out." The white-bearded old man showed a grave expression as he fixed his gaze on Xiao Chen. Before everyone's strange gazes, Xiao Chen walked out. The other outer palace disciples were all startled. To think that Xiao Chen directly attracted the attention of Ancestor Dragon City's Lord Feng. Was it because his performance in the first stage was too good and wanted Xiao Chen to join Ancestor Dragon City? I formally announce that the Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chen is disqualified from the competition between the 7 outer palaces, effective immediately. No one is allowed to object. Whoosh! The moment Lu Feng said this, everyone was shocked. Chapter 2018. Disqualification? When they heard this, everyone wondered if they had heard wrongly. He looked around and realized that the others were just as dumbfounded as he was. What Lord Feng said was indeed correct, to disqualify Xiao Chen from participating in the 7 Royal Highness tournament. What happened? What's going on? Why is he suddenly disqualified? I don't think this has ever happened before. Puzzled questions hovered in everyone's mind. Even Qin Mu frowned slightly as he looked at the Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd Palace Master. The other party shook his head, indicating that he was confused as well. In the Blue Dragon Palace, Situ Changfeng exclaimed in shock, "Why was he suddenly disqualified?" This was especially the case with Lord Feng's words. They were extremely serious, and did not seem like they were joking at all. First Palace Master Exin looked up and smiled embarrassedly. "Lord Feng, are you joking?" The white-bearded old man said coldly, "Do you think I'm someone who would joke around?" These words completely confirmed Lord Feng's attitude. Xiao Chen's qualifications were really going to be revoked. Aside from confusion and doubt, the other Divine Dragon Palace disciples immediately felt a strange feeling in their hearts. Suddenly, there was one less heavyweight opponent. The second round seemed to be a lot easier. "No, we don't accept this. Why did you disqualify junior brother Xiao Chen? Even if you are from Ancestor Dragon City, you should at least give an explanation. What did junior brother Xiao Chen do wrong? Why did you disqualify us? Is Ancestor Dragon City targeting our Heaven Dragon Palace? Damn it, how could this be?" The disciples of Heaven Dragon Hall, on the other hand, fell into a state of frenzy. This blow was truly too sudden for them. "I can't accept it, I can't accept it at all. Exin, take care of your disciple. I have something to ask Xiao Chen." Rage flashed in Lord Feng's eyes as he berated the First Palace Master. The First Palace Master endured the dissatisfaction and rage in his heart. He stopped the First Palace Master and said, "Don't argue first. Let Lord Feng ask the questions. I want to know what exactly happened as well." Although he was dissatisfied, he knew Ancestor Dragon City's Lord Feng would not make random decisions without thinking. The place fell silent once more. Lord Feng's gaze landed on Xiao Chen as he said in a deep voice, "Xiao Chen? I want to know who you are and what is your identity? Why did you sneak into my Divine Dragon Empire and join the Heaven Dragon Palace? What is your scheme?" Xiao Chen was shocked. He knew that his fake identity had been exposed. Xiao Chen was not a person of the Divine Dragon Empire. Back then, for the sake of joining the Heaven Dragon Palace, he had to fake an identity. However, this wasn't the main point. The main point was why the other party wanted to investigate him. Xiao Chen couldn't be sure what had gone wrong. The First Palace Master was startled when he heard this. Lord Feng's words were implying that Xiao Chen's identity was fake. That's impossible, right? What's so good about forging the identity of a mixed-blood dragon? The Divine Dragon Empire had tens of thousands of mixed-blood dragon cultivators. Under normal circumstances, no one would pay much attention to them. I am Shao Qin, the Heaven Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciple Shao Qin. I am a dragon race disciple in the first place. I cannot be considered to have sneaked into the Divine Dragon Empire, Shao Qin said softly with a calm expression. Lord Feng retorted coldly, You still want to quibble? I already ordered people to use Ancestor Dragon City's Special Intelligence Network to investigate your background. Why do you think the second stage was delayed for so long? I have no proof, so why would I speak carelessly? Earlier, when Lord Feng was observing Shao Qin, he accidentally discovered that the aura of Shao Qin's bloodline was somewhat strange. Shao Qin did not have the bloodline of the six-colored divine dragons, or a true dragon, or a mixed-blood dragon. As for what bloodline it was, Lord Feng did not dare to be sure. However, this was clearly somewhat strange. Lord Feng could not help but suspect it. Lord Feng ordered people to use the intelligence network to investigate Shao Qin's background. It would have been fine if he had not done so. With one check, Lord Feng discovered that Shao Qin's identity was fake. Then, he connected this to his strange bloodline. Clearly, this person was not qualified to continue participating in the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Before Lord Feng figured out the matter, he definitely could not let Shao Qin enter Ancestor Dragon City. His identity is fake? The Heaven Dragon Palace disciples were somewhat surprised, not daring to believe it. The other Divine Dragon Palace disciples were similarly shocked. As they looked at Shao Qin, their expressions turned somewhat strange. Shao Qin faked his identity, altered his bloodline, and infiltrated the Divine Dragon Empire. The Divine Dragon Empire was one of the northern region's giants. Even in the central Great Realm, it could be considered a superfaction. Naturally, the other factions would send scouts. Shao Qin did not say anything, tacitly agreeing to it. Lord Feng showed a sullen expression as he said, I thought that an incredible person appeared in the Heaven Dragon Palace. It turns out that he is just a spy. I nearly let you sneak into Ancestor Dragon City. Fortunately, you can't hide your bloodline from this old man. Which faction sent you? The situation changed somewhat quickly. Earlier, Shao Qin was the center of attention, the dark horse that suppressed Qin Mu. In the blink of an eye, Shao Qin's identity changed, becoming a spy. Lord Feng wanted to capture Shao Qin on the spot. No faction. I am just a dragon race disciple wandering outside. I have no identity. Sir Feng, you can say that I forged my identity, but don't say that I'm a spy. Now that things had come to this, Shao Qin didn't want to explain too much, but the word spy was a bit of an insult to him. The first palace master hurriedly said, Lord Feng, the matter of forging an identity is really not a big deal. In this great 1,000 realms there are really many dragon race martial artists wandering outside. The dragon race bloodline in Shao Qin's body cannot be faked. It's impossible for him to be a spy. Sir Feng, this matter cannot be concluded so quickly. There have been cases of fake identities in the past. It can be big or small, but it's still a bit inappropriate to say that Shao Qin is a spy so decisively. The Green Dragon Palace's palace master said softly as he stepped forward. The label of being a spy was a little too big. Once it was confirmed that one was a spy, it was basically a death sentence. No one could save them. Out of caution, the Green Dragon Palace's palace master helped to say something. When Lord Feng saw the situation, he entered deep thought. Then, he looked at Shao Qin and said, Not to mention faking movement techniques, the bloodline in his body is the greatest doubt. I'll give you one chance. Return to Ancestor Dragon City with me. After I investigate the truth of your bloodline, I will naturally clear your name. Return to Ancestor Dragon City to test his bloodline? Shao Qin roughly understood what was going on. The other party felt that his bloodline was a little strange, but could not determine that he was of the Blue Dragon bloodline. In the end, they had underestimated the people of Ancestor Dragon City. Although most people could not recognize the heaven dragon imprisoned in the starry heavens dragon prison, most people would not be able to recognize its bloodline. But that didn't mean it wouldn't arouse suspicion. Sorry, I can't go. Xiao Chen, why don't you go? Go, as long as I can verify that you really have the bloodline of the dragon race. A fake identity is nothing. I will guarantee your safety. The first palace master shouted uncontrollably at Xiao Chen's rejection, unable to control his emotions. Xiao Chen felt a trace of warmth in his heart. However, he could only smile bitterly. First palace master, I can swear that I am definitely of the dragon race. However, I really can't go. If Xiao Chen went to Ancestor Dragon City, if the old monsters of Ancestor Dragon City came out, they would definitely recognize his bloodline. Xiao Chen had no idea how the blue dragon race went extinct. How could he dare to expose himself? Xiao Chen really wanted to go to Ancestor Dragon City. However, he really did not want to enter like this. After more than 5 years of wandering and suffering, Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and arrived here. It looked like he was about to succeed. He could enter Ancestor Dragon City and meet the people he wanted to meet. He was only half a step away from the door, but it ended in the blink of an eye. The affairs of the world were like unfathomable. The bitterness was indescribable. Who could understand my heart? Before Lord Feng could say anything, the Golden Dragon Palace Master suddenly smiled coldly. Interesting. Where do you get your confidence to think that you have the right to refuse? Since Lord Feng has spoken, you have to go whether you want to or not. Spy, you are really mocking my divine dragon empire for having no one left. Today, I will take you down on behalf of Lord Feng. Right after the Golden Dragon Palace Master spoke, a dragon roar came from his body. Then, he soared into the air and threw a punch at Xiao Chen. This punch seemed to merge with the sky, spreading Emperor's might. This was the Emperor Dragon Fist that only the Golden Dragon Royal Clan could cultivate. A brilliant Emperor's might surged out from the fist light, pressing down on Xiao Chen. When Lord Feng saw the situation, he frowned slightly. He knew that this Qin Mu wanted to use this opportunity to trample on Xiao Chen, to vent the hatred in his heart from having the first rank snatched away. However, after thinking about it, it was not appropriate for Lord Feng to make a move to capture this Xiao Chen. After all, Xiao Chen's identity was there. There was no harm in letting this Qin Mu make a move. Xiao Chen knew that his chances of leaving today were minuscule. However, this insignificant Qin Mu also wanted to use this opportunity to trample on him. This was truly laughable. In the 4 seas and 8 desolates, the group of dragons is leaderless. The world is unfair and the evil dragon rules. How can one be respected? Luck is not on one side, and life is as fragile as paper. Xiao Chen shouted, and he circulated his energy for the Supreme Dragon Fist together with that trace of the Heaven Dragon's mysteries. An unruly and berserk dragon might immediately burst out from Xiao Chen's body. When facing this punch that merged with the sky and contained a vast aura and a brilliant Emperor's might, Xiao Chen did not show any weakness. He punched with a grand and lofty Emperor's might, not showing any weakness. Supreme Dragon Fist. This is the Supreme Dragon Fist. The Dragon's Gate's forbidden technique, the Supreme Dragon Fist, was very famous. Practically all the Heaven-class core disciples present knew about it. However, this was the first time they truly saw it. The terrifying dragon might that erupted from Xiao Chen's body startled them. The moment this dragon might appeared, even the Emperor Dragon's might, which represented the orthodox Emperor Dragon, paled in comparison.